the everyday Hogwarts player. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26 Hagrid, King of Monsters. In the early morning, the ball-escaping birds kept flickering in the woods. The sunlight shone through the dense leaves on the green and slender face of the botricle, and the mist gradually dispersed. The young unicorn, which shines like gold, is ignorantly guarded by the tall and sacred adult unicorn, whose body is as white as moonlight. He drinks water by the lake, and from time to time touches the colorful balls exhaling on the lake with his nose. Grass, a gnome that looked like a moving potato, carefully looked at the unicorns. Not far away, the centaur Bane was taking the young centaurs to identify herbs. He was usually grumpy but was extremely patient in teaching the foals away from the thestrals. Not far from Hagrid's hut, several hippogriffs blinked their bright orange eyes and turned their heads proudly, with arrogance and disdain on their faces. It was early morning in the Forbidden Forest. Ryan appeared here in the shape of a phoenix, curiously looking at Hagrid with his narrow phoenix eyes. Race, wizard. Giant. Strength, 30, normal. Human. Limit is 10, Constitution, 34, the limit for ordinary people is 10, magic power, 25, normal. Human. Limit is 10, skills, animal affinity LV, 3, 22%, domestication LV 5, 43%, charms LV 4, 49%, potions LV 3, 44%, transfiguration LV 3, 14%, magical biology LV 5, 67%. Such scary statistics, and his magic power is not lower than the average level of an adult wizard. My strength and physique are far beyond what I am now. If Hagrid had been more thoughtful and ambitious, ordinary wizards would have no way to deal with him. But in the original world line, in order not to cause trouble for Dumbledore, he refused to resist and entered Azkaban. It's a pity. He is a good person for both magic and martial arts. Taming LV 5? Is this why a manticore and a fire crab can be crossed to give birth to a blast-tailed snail? Animal affinity LV 3? Is this what Stone Hagrid, who was known as the King of Monsters in ancient Greece, relied on? Ryan often transforms into a phoenix during his free time recently and visits Hogwarts thestrals, chimera beasts, cattle and fireball dragons and other rare and dangerous powerful magical creatures with more than 4x. Some tourists learn from the mouths of magical creatures that can communicate, such as giants, that the composition of their kingdom is all maintained by one person, the King of Monsters, Hagrid. Of course, in the giant's mouth, he was not called the King of Monsters. He's known as Stone Hagrid, the thunderstorm birth of the Hagrid family, Hercules, King of the Forbidden Forest, Master of Giant Creatures, Mentor of the Dark Forest, Liberator and Lord of Dragons. This glorious country, hidden in the depths of the Forbidden Forest, was eventually accompanied by a melee between Sigrids, and many creatures preyed on each other. The language barrier caused it to collapse and decline. Except for a few travel notes that no one believed, it was recorded. No more traces. The owner of one of the travel notes is William Smith, Lane's ancestor. Scotland. Under the leadership of Hagrid, all magical creatures no longer prey on each other, but on cattle, sheep, stoats, rats, fish and other unintelligent creatures. Planting, achieving an unprecedented harmony and resisting the influence of foreign wizards. William Smith said that until his old age, he still remembered that great country, especially the celebration day of November 11th every year, Hagrid's birthday. Under the bright moonlight, the moon beasts danced gracefully, the auguries sang with clear bird songs, the cattle and fireball dragons flew in the sky, spewing flames, and exploded in the sky with special skills, and the horse-shaped water monsters sprayed water columns to extinguish the unnoticed sparks. Ryan, I am very surprised. Hogwarts is located in Scotland. Is this forest the Forbidden Forest? Is Hagrid the Hagrid of Rubeus Hagrid? Legend has it that Hagrids have the magic power to wake up cruel and violent magical creatures. They can also see the beauty of all things. Among several dragons that look similar, they can always find the most beautiful one among them. This beautiful one, it is not beautiful in the eyes of ordinary people, but beautiful in the eyes of Longans of the same species. If Hagrid is Hagrid, it's no wonder that Hagrid's father fell in love with a giant. Reason why Hagrids can control magical creatures is also related to the origin of magical creatures. There is a saying that all magical creatures are the product of experiments by wizards who failed to transform. Most of the wizards who turned into magical creatures lost their minds and even had strange psychology. Unlike werewolves, they only infected their blood relatives and became a stable population. This is just a hypothesis, but the most conclusive proof of this hypothesis comes from the five-legged monster. The five-legged monster only lives on the island of Delia, the northernmost island of Scotland. Because it likes to eat people and is hostile to people, it has also been cast here to make it unmapped. He comes from the Macboon clan of Delia Island. There are two wizarding families on this island, the Macboon clan and the Miclever clan, and there is a feud between them. The Maclever clan attacked the Macboon clan, and together they used a group magic similar to blood curse. All members of the Macboon clan were transformed into pentapods, unprecedented creatures covered in thick reddish-brown hair and with a deformed foot at the end of each leg. However, the people of the Macboon clan soon realized that although the Macboon clan were very stupid at using magic, their transformed monsters were very dangerous. The Maclever clan tried desperately to convert the Macboon people back many times, but failed. Eventually, the five-legged monsters these Macboons transformed into killed all the Maclevers on the island. The wizards of Clan Maclever, transformed into five-legged monsters, are mute but resist all attempts by the Department for the Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures to restore them to their original form. As for Hagrid's, their unique magic power can evoke the rational and kind side of magical creatures, making the chaotic minds of wizards into magical creatures regain order. Just like Aragog, who was raised by Hagrid, as an acromantula, he is organized, can speak clearly, and sticks to his promise not to eat people. If Hagrid hadn't found him a wife who wasn't raised by him, and didn't tame every spider he could come into contact with, Harry and Ron would almost be eaten. Out of curiosity and full of energy, Ryan ran to Hagrid's hut next to the Forbidden Forest early in the morning to observe secretly. Chapter 27: The Knowledge of Magic Wands. Looking at Hagrid's skills, Ryan initially confirmed that Hagrid was the descendant of the King of Monsters. Ryan looked at Hagrid's hut worriedly. This hut was made of wood and could be seen through the window. The hut had only one room with hams and pheasants hanging on it of rags. There were several copper pots hanging from the ceiling, and a bunch of long, smooth white hairs. A copper kettle was used to boil water in the brazier in the opposite corner. A field behind the cabin grew pumpkins and lentils. An umbrella with a pink pattern rests against the wall, to unicorn. According to Horace Slughorn, the professor of the 6th Potions course, the price of unicorn tail hair is 10 galleons apiece. You know, Harry's wand is only 7 gold galleons. Hagrid just thought that unicorn tail hair was very strong and could be used to bandage injured animals. Understand that unicorn tail hair has many uses. First, unicorn tail hair can be used to make magic potions, such as beauty potions. Unicorn tail hair can be purchased at the pharmacy in Diagon Alley for 10 galleons per bag. However, the total amount of the bag here is no more than one of Hagrid's bunch of unicorn hairs. They have been trimmed and packed in a bag to appear more. However, when you think about the fact that they are used to make beauty potions, there is a reason why witches' cosmetics are so expensive. Second, unicorn tail hair can be used to make wands. Wands made of unicorn tail hair can produce the most stable magic and are rarely subject to fluctuations or obstructions. And it is the most loyal, regardless of whether its first owner is an outstanding wizard or not, it will maintain a strong connection with this person. This wand also has the disadvantage of being difficult to use for dark magic. They also don't make for the most powerful wands, although the wand wood may compensate for this lack. At the same time, it is as sensitive as its owner, who only comes into contact with young girls. If not handled properly, unicorn tail hair can easily become melancholic. This means that the tail hair is dead and needs to be replaced. Ryan was suddenly a little glad that his wand was not made of unicorn tail hair, although the wood of the wand could make up for the weak shortcomings of the unicorn hair wand. But compared to dragon and phoenix feathers, it is still a bit lacking. You can use good wand wood for your unicorn tail feather wand, but you can't use dragon or phoenix feathers. Aspen, an outstanding wand wood, has made up for the deficiency, and Ryan's wand is made of the unprecedented unicorn heartstring. According to what he asked Jack to find out later, this wand was made by Ollivander in his early years, and he rejected more than one wizard who later became outstanding because of lack of talent, which shows how powerful it is. However, unicorn hair is already one of the 3 most magical substances in the eyes of Ollivander, the wand master, besides dragons and phoenixes. Unicorns are a bit like phoenixes, and the only parts of their bodies that can be used to make wands are usually the hair on their bodies. Unlike a dragon, various parts of a dragon can be used to make a wand, such as its nerves and heartstrings. The unicorn looks noble and sacred, but other parts of it carry a strong curse that entangles a wizard throughout his life. It cannot be caught. Feathers can always be found in its habitat. The most powerful of the three, dragon, is so useful and fertile that even Dumbledore studied 12 uses of dragon blood when he was young. Even for the breeding of creatures like dragons, pure-blood wizards have specifically legislated to prohibit private breeding of wizards, and have also specifically built dragon farms in Romania to monopolize them. The wand combination of another child of prophecy, Harry Potter, is an extraordinary combination. As Ryan Moore learned about wands, he finally understood why Ollivander was so obsessed with this wand in the original book. Hollywood, phoenix feather, flexible, 11 inches long. Holly is a rare wand wood. Only generally considered to have defensive attributes, favoring owners who need to overcome their anger and impatience. They also tend to follow people who engage in somewhat dangerous behavior and advocate spiritual pursuits. Phoenix's detachment. However, such matches can occur under special circumstances, when nothing and no one can stop them. And its owner, Harry Potter, also fully demonstrates these qualities. Harry Potter himself is very good at controlling his emotions, and even has a bit of low self-esteem. After entering the magic world, he gradually became confident and full of courage. He had the courage to sacrifice himself and fight hard at critical moments. What he was best at was the Patronus charm, which greatly enhanced the defensive properties of Hollywood and drove away hundreds of Dementors at once. Even in the 7th part, when facing his master's enemies, he proactively released an unprecedented and powerful spell to repel Voldemort. An interesting point is that in wizarding superstition, the owners of holly wands and oak wands are incompatible. They cannot be together, and Hagrid is an oak wand. This is because the oak tree is known as the king of the forest from the winter solstice to the summer solstice, and its wood can only be harvested during this period. Holly replaces oak as the king of the forest when the days become shorter again, so holly can only be collected in the second half of the year, which is why it is incompatible. There are only a dozen such extraordinary combinations in Ollivander's wand shop since 382 BC, and most of them have never met their owners. Only after testing them many times would Ollivander cherish them and give them to the little wizard to try one by one. But this may also be the reason why most wizards don't pay much attention to wand science. Most of them think that they can just use it. Muggle-born wizards will take the initiative to buy wands from Ollivanders, while only some wizards choose Ollivander's wands because they are the best. Some people would rather go to second-hand wand shops to save money and buy other things that they think are more important, such as potion materials, clothes, etc. The vast majority of people who didn't go to Ollivanders to buy a wand inherited a wand from a relative. Ron and Neville both used old wands belonging to their relatives. Ron inherited Charlie's unicorn hair wand because he was poor. It was loyal to its first owner, causing Ron to be relatively mediocre in the 1st grade. Neville used his father's old wand until 5th grade because his grandmother didn't pay attention to it. One thing that many people have not noticed is that Lucius Malfoy also inherited his Elm Dragon Nerve wand from his father, Abraxas Malfoy. What a pity. What kind of power can a well-matched wand have? Harry's performance in the original work can prove this. The reason why Neville's performance in the original work is so poor is also because the wand is out of time. Until the end of the 5th Order of the Phoenix, because the battle wand was damaged, I went to Ollivander's to get it on the eve of my 6th year. Interestingly, this was also the last wand sold by Ollivander before he was kidnapped by Voldemort, Cherrywood and Unicorn Tail Hair. Finally, I would like to thank Ming Jiang and Sutton from the north of the galaxy for their 4 monthly tickets. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28 Classification. A sniffer appeared out of nowhere and emerged from a hole in the ground, attracting and disturbing Ryan's thoughts. Not far away, Hagrid put on his rubber shoes, picked up the stone bow in front of the door, and walked into the depths of the Forbidden Forest. Granny followed Hagrid timidly, and the Thestrals gradually dispersed. Ryan didn't plan to show up. Although his current appearance looked the same as the real Phoenix, Ryan was not familiar with the Phoenix's demeanor, and in front of Hagrid, An expert on magical animals? Well, forget it, today's purpose has been achieved. Is this fate? The Forbidden Forest welcomed its master's descendants. Ryan watched Hagrid enter the Forbidden Forest and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. From Ryan's magical perspective, the magical tide of the entire Forbidden Forest accompanied Hagrid's entry, as if cheering for the new master. Ryan suddenly disappeared from the spot. Ryan, whose movements have gradually become familiar with the phoenix form, no longer needs to be accompanied by flames that rise without wind. In layman's terms, there is no need to hide special effects, although it requires a little more magic power. The wizard's apparition can actually eliminate the crackling sound, but this magic itself is used to rush on the road. Why waste more magic power? What if you don't pay attention and cause separation? Support a kingdom composed of magical creatures. Hagrid's current charm skill level is actually level 4. Level 4 is not an ordinary number, it is still the overall level mattered, but also his strength. In Ryan's view, charms is the foundation of a wizard and the most direct skill. Transfiguration is so difficult that it is not a spell. Defense against dark arts is nothing more than teaching how to use spells to fight against black magic. Ryan actually made a summary based on the data obtained from his investigative skills and the spell levels on the panel, but things like transfiguration and potions were both vague and difficult to compare. Just look at the mastery of magic spells. Level 1 is the level of being able to recite spells accurately and barely be able to use them, the level of a first-year student at Hogwarts. Level 2 means skilled use of spells, accurate spell casting, and clear articulation, the level of a second to third-year Hogwarts student. Level 3 means that the willpower can reach the level of silent spellcasting, the level of 4th to 5th grade Hogwarts students. Level 4 means having your own understanding of a curse, the level of Hogwarts students in grade 6 to 7, LV5. This depends on talent. Ordinary wizards need to study carefully for many years to achieve it. Level 6 is a realm that only geniuses can stay in. Ordinary wizards may have to work hard for a lifetime, plus luck and inspiration, to touch the edge. However, the level of students of different grades mentioned above does not refer to the level of the entire magic or transfiguration studies, but the level of LV3 or LV4 of the magic and transfiguration that are usually taught in class and practiced regularly. Most Hogwarts students will probably only have level 3 in charms after graduation, and those at level 4 are probably very rare. If you want to improve the overall level, only those who concentrate on studying magic can achieve it. Otherwise, you can only rely on a few LV4 magic spells to become a combat genius, and your level of magic spells is still LV3. However, it is also understandable. Hagrid has cast spells many times in the original work. There is a lot of obvious evidence that Hagrid's wand has always been hidden in his girlish pink umbrella. Of course, this color is not limited to witches in the wizarding world, and is different from the Muggle world, although Hagrid's wand was expelled and broken in the 3rd grade because of Voldemort's report. The broken wand was originally unusable, but you must know that Dumbledore owned the Elder Wand, one of the 3 legendary Deathly Hallows. It can be extremely powerful and can accomplish some incredible feats. In the original book, Harry's Holy Wand was also destroyed and died, but as the owner of the Elder Wand, Harry simply restored it to its original state and the wand was resurrected. The secret behind Hagrid's wand, and the many times he apparently cast spells with it, was that Dumbledore fixed it for him. Hagrid's grades are pretty good, plus he has been studying magic and living in Hogwarts, a place with such deep traces of magic since he was expelled. When he is free, he can go to the library to borrow books, and even Dumbledore may tell him about it. Have some private lessons. If he hasn't reached LV4, it's probably because his focus is not on it. For example, his magical biology is at LV5 early like Newt sooner or later. Ever since he entered school, he has been getting into trouble every other week. He raised werewolf cubs under his bed and sneaked into the Forbidden Forest to fight trolls. He was clumsy and troublemaking, causing headaches to the headmaster of Hogwarts at the time. After the 3rd grade, he even started raising a giant 8-eyed spider, a 5x level magical creature that loves to eat people. Magical creatures classifies all known animals, humans, and ghosts. These classification levels provide a guide to recognizing at a glance how dangerous an animal is. The 5 classification levels are as follows: XXXXXX animals known to kill wizards, impossible to domesticate or tame. XXXX dangerous, requires specialized knowledge, can only be dealt with by a skilled wizard enough to get him fired. The principal at the time didn't fire him because he killed Myrtle, but because Hagrid's behavior itself was enough to expel him, and it also made others think that the risk of killing Myrtle had disappeared with Hagrid's expulsion. Kill two birds with one stone. Seeing that Hagrid had lived in Hogwarts for many years and reached level 4 in charms, Ryan thought of a long-shelved plan. Go to Hogwarts and practice spells. According to Ryan's summary, compared with other places, Hogwarts' progress in magic is 10% faster and the difficulty of getting started is reduced by 10%. In layman's terms, practicing spells there can be said to add a buff, which is even more amazing for Ryan, who already has a cheat. For the spell Avada Kedavra, there may not be enough traces there, but there must be many corresponding traces of common spells such as blazing flames and clear water like springs. This may be the reason why Hogwarts textbooks have not been changed, although they may not be aware of this. However, it was found that after changing to a new magic book, the students could not keep up with the progress. They would think that the new teaching materials were not suitable, and then changed back. Forbidden Forest and start practicing in secret. With the Phoenix's 365-degree omnidirectional vision and detection skills, he is not afraid of anyone getting close to him. It can't be Dumbledore who brings the Phoenix here. Chapter 29 Avada bites the big melon. However, I am afraid that this plan will have to wait until after Christmas. On Christmas Day, I have an appointment with Penelope and Kate to gather in Hogsmeade. Moreover, after Christmas, most of the students have just left Hogwarts, which was the most relaxing time for people to just go and check out the place. Jack, Master. Ryan? Are you hungry? I'll have noodles for breakfast today, just feel free to do whatever you want. Ryan slightly after a while, with the fragrant beef noodles and looking at the slender chopsticks in his hand, Ryan thought of something interesting. The Elder Wand, the last one that Voldemort took before his death, is the Deathly Hallows. The destined weapons that led to Voldemort's death are also related to the Deathly Hallows. Voldemort's death curse, which ultimately led to Voldemort's own death. The second is the Elder Wand. Dumbledore planned to die undefeated and become the last true master of the wand. If everything goes according to plan, the power of the wand should die with him, for no one has ever won a wand from him. Because the Elder Wand changes its owner by defeating the previous owner. If that didn't work out, Snape could be made his master. But Draco Malfoy, by accident, briefly became the master of the most powerful wand. Under a strange fate, Harry defeated Draco and became the new owner of the Elder Wand. However, Voldemort used this wand to release Avada Kedavra on Harry, and was cursed to death again by the rebounding death curse. Ryan also discovered that Gryffinder's sword can be regarded as another Elder Wand, or an imitation of it. Ryan's investigation also has a blood relationship with the legendary boss of the three brothers who died early. I wonder if there is a connection between him and Slytherin, who is also related to the second child by blood. Gryffinder's sword is the royal wand of Gryffindor. According to historical records, Gryffindor uses it far more than the wand. And Neville also used it to cut off the head of Nagini, a big snake. The witch lost her humanity and poor memory because of the blood curse. Voldemort's last Horcrux was destroyed in the true sense according to Ryan's speculation. If the first two children of prophecy failed, then it would be my turn. At that time, he should have in his hand a Black Knight, a replica and variant of the old wand made by his father George Smith. The invisibility cloak allowed Harry to escape many times. If Harry failed, Neville would definitely inherit it and take down Voldemort, who was still alive. If Neville also came over, the original Lane Smith would also lift up the Black Knight. The invisibility cloak and the gun are not, is it more worthy? The three Deathly Hallows and their imitations, the blood of the three brothers, are all entangled in this prophecy. After the meal, Ryan went to the kitchen and started an experiment that he had prepared long ago. Avada choose the big melon. A green light that could be called holy flashed through. This fat pig, which should have been sent to the kitchen long ago, died silently and painfully. Ryan was trying to use the killing curse according to his ideas. Sure enough, unlike the original version, there was no need to fill his heart with strong thoughts of killing and death. Ryan took on the role of the god of death, with the mentality of the lord of the dead country, regarded life as a disease, and brought the elixir of death to all living beings. Avada Kedavra LV5 LV6? In this mentality, the height of this spell has reached the limit of a wizard. Going further to level 7 is the realm of the real gods. Unfortunately, this power is only achieved temporarily. The skill of Ryan's death curse is still only from LV4 to LV5. Although the power of LV6 can be reproduced again with the help of talented people, this is cheating and its own ability is not enough. No promotion. Just like the Phoenix incarnation, he obtained the talent of the Phoenix by cheating, but the magic of the Phoenix incarnation itself still requires him to brush up his proficiency in order to continue to grow. Those obtained through cheating can only wait until the skills are really close to the power of cheating before they can continue to improve. However, in Ryan's case, the power he gained from his once-in-a-lifetime talent is itself a guiding light for his original skills, and it gained is only a matter of time before he reaches the same level. His guess turned out to be correct. Ryan was able to decipher, master, and experiment with the killing curse only after he broke free from the wizarding group mentality by incarnating himself as a phoenix in eternal life. Avada Kedavra means let the thing be destroyed, which means destroy it, destroying the disease. Combining his guesses with the help of his thinking skills, Ryan truly changed his thinking pattern at the moment of casting the spell. He briefly forgot who he was and completely took on the role of the Grim Reaper. After all, if he didn't have the skill to think, even if Ryan understood the principle, he could only rely on the power of the panel itself to point him to the right path, and grind over and over again until he succeeded. Level 4 spell learning allowed Ryan to easily upgrade a spell from scratch to level 4. In addition, this was arguably the rarest role-playing event in the wizarding world, allowing Ryan to upgrade the Death Curse to level 5, which was the limit that a wizarding genius could normally achieve after a lifetime of hard work. He even mastered the power of reproducing LV6. LV6 is a field where true study, talent, and luck are indispensable. According to a mobile game that Ryan played before traveling through time, it was full of death curses. Huh? Ryan rubbed his head. It was really dangerous. If he didn't have the system, he wouldn't dare to act so randomly. The change in his thinking mode was more terrifying to Ryan than being snatched away. Personality is the composition of all memories in a person's life. Every memory is indispensable and extremely precious memories. This skill helped Ryan a lot. Without it, after reading the original book many times, he would have become arrogant and would probably have made mistakes on some details that he had not remembered. Only after remembering all the memories did Ryan truly realize the strengths and weaknesses of Joe Yee, or Ryan Smith, and faced and accepted all of himself. This kind of understanding cannot be bought with any amount of money. In terms of learning magic, with it, you can better understand magic. All in all, this skill itself is the ultimate manifestation of Ryan's fondness for random thoughts. With the help of the panel, it can develop in a more perfect direction and abandon shortcomings. It can even achieve the effect of knowing the answer to a question out of thin air with the help of the panel pointing to the correct power novel. Thanks to Weemian Tingteo for 2 monthly tickets. Chapter 30, Checking for Omissions and Filing Them Up. Ryan couldn't help but feel a little shocked, relying on killing wizards. It must have been when Voldemort was in 5th grade. He accidentally killed Myrtle and was worried that when he left Hogwarts, which was like home, he suddenly discovered that his power had increased. How did Voldemort feel at that time? Could it have foreshadowed Voldemort's subsequent killings, and it was probably this killing that led him to make Horcruxes? Ryan suddenly woke up as if from a dream. His understanding of the world was based on the original 7 novels based on Harry Potter's perspective. In Harry's eyes, Voldemort regarded Hogwarts as his home and the most important place, and Voldemort was indeed very special to Hogwarts. Even after Dumbledore died, Hogwarts remained normal. During the operation, Neville resisted many times in school without being cruel. Although this may have a lot to do with Snape's care, Voldemort, as the boss, could not have known it. But Harry thought Voldemort too well. Myrtle's death was not a manslaughter by the basilisk, but was premeditated by Voldemort. Hogwarts may be important to both Harry and Voldemort, but how could Voldemort be able to resist the temptation of immortality? Myrtle is the most unpopular person in Ravenclaw. She doesn't have a big heart like Luna. She will go to the bathroom and cry every time she is wrong. At this time, Voldemort happened to have obtained the knowledge of Horcruxes, opened Slytherin's secret room, and was looking for a sacrifice. Hagrid happened to be raising Acromantulas, which was very unpopular. His maternal grandfather, Marvolo Gaunt, a recombination of his original name, Voldemort, comes from French. Vol means flying, stealing, is a preposition, equivalent to in English. Mort means death, so it means flying away from death or stealing death. The name Voldemort means flying away from death. Faced with such a temptation, will he really resist it? Harry's perspective is not impartial. For example, he is biased against Slytherin. This is the real world. If Ryan keeps holding on to this attitude, perhaps he won't suffer any loss due to his strength, but Ryan may do something that is not in line with his morals. Is Pansy the poodle really ugly? You know, she was personally invited by Malfoy's dance partner. Malfoy probably wouldn't find an ugly girl to dance with. Although she was a buffoon, Hermione also mocked her as a complete cow and thought, how can she be a prefect? She is dumber than a concussed troll. In Book 7, when Voldemort announced that handing over Harry Potter would mean that no students would be harmed and the school would not be touched, she actually climbed up on the table, pointed at Harry and screamed, "There he is! Potter is there! Someone catch him!" She became the first student ordered by Professor McGonagall to leave the hall with Filch. Even when Ryan was still Jo-Yi, he read a report. Someone asked, "Who do you want to be among the girls in the Philosopher's Stone?" Rowling replied, "I want to be Hermione, but I definitely don't want to be Pansy Parkinson. She is a character that even the author hates very much." She briefly became Draco Malfoy's lover, but was eventually dumped. Malfoy married Astoria Greengrass, a Slytherin student 2 years younger than herself. How should I put it? Boys always like her. Younger than yourself? Harry also found Ginny, who was 1 year younger than him. After 4 years, I still want to go and see for myself. After all, I want to give all the beautiful witches a home and save their miserable fate. Just face. While Ryan was thinking wildly, a high-pitched voice interrupted Ryan's thoughts. "Master, it's time to go to St. Mungo's Hospital." Jack suddenly appeared and said respectfully. This is another plan that Ryan originally planned, to learn the magic spell of healing. Education in this area has long been monopolized by St. Mungo's. Hogwarts has some small healing spells, but they have never been taught. Harry also complained about this in the original novel. Only people like Hermione, whose parents are dentists or those related to medicine and who love to learn, have mastered the healing spells. Going to St. Mungo's was not due to lack of spells in this area. Ryan was gifted in education and did not need it very much. Instead, this magic hospital is filled with magical traces of healing spells. Learning in this environment can be said to be a rapid progress. Crack. Ryan and Jack apparated to Teo Company, an old-fashioned department store in London, with St. Mungo's right behind it. Not surprisingly, this department store is also Smith's property, and St. Mungo's also has Smith's investment. St. Mungo's was built here mainly because there was not enough space in Diagon Alley, and it could not be built underground like the Ministry of Magic. Finally, it was bought in London on the grounds that it would be convenient for sick wizards to come and go among the crowd. Another unknown department store behind Teo Company, Limited in the center. Like the Leaky Cauldron Bar, Teo Company, Limited. Department store has a private entrance and exit to the Leaky Cauldron Bar, so you don't come into contact with a crowd. You don't need to make an appointment when you go to the hospital, you can check in directly. The hospital building has 6 floors in total. First floor, Equipment Accident Department. Second floor, Biological Damage Department. Third floor, Department of Strange Bacteria Infection. Fourth floor, Department of Pharmacy and Phytotoxicity. Fifth floor, Curse Damage Department. Sixth floor, Tea Room and Shop. On the wall of the first floor hangs a portrait of Delise Derwent, who is also the headmistress of Hogwarts School. At the information desk sits a wizard witch who explains to patients in which department they will receive treatment. As for Smith's secret passage, the exit is on the 6th floor, in a lonely tea room that no one can approach. Ryan and Jack, who put on the magic hat and transformed into George Smith, opened the door to the tea room. What they saw was a green couch surrounded by elder herbs. The wall facing the room looked like a one-sided perspective. Glass, the whole environment is like a tropical rainforest, surrounded by various rare plants. There were people walking around outside the glass, wearing cross badges composed of ones and bones on their chests, and wearing dark green robes. The therapists did not notice the arrival of Ryan and the others at all. Jack sat on the edge of the sofa with ease, pointed to a flower pot in the corner and said to Ryan, "As long as you move it, the wall will return to normal, and the therapists will also notice that there is a patient who needs treatment here. If just by watering it, the therapists would simply think that a visitor was in the room." Ryan moved Jack not to touch it and started his own practice. Ryan actually had a general understanding of such an environment before coming here, and it was easier for him to restrain his shame this time. To be honest, practicing mantras in an environment where people come and go is more difficult than imagined. Chapter 31 Christmas Chapter 31 Christmas. Unknowingly, it was already December 12th, Christmas, and the previous practice at St. Mungo's had come to an end. Healing spells were making rapid progress, especially in the environment of St. Mungo's and Ryan's own level 25 spell learning. With a blessing, the Christmas appointment with Penelope and Kate was at 6 o'clock in the evening at Mrs. Puttiff's tea house. Healed as before. It was another pig that was supposed to be sent to the kitchen. Following Ryan's spell, the wounds visible to the naked eye receded like a tide. Ryan in the practice room agreed with satisfaction. It seems that I made the right decision. St. Mungo's is indeed a good place. After calming down, the times call again and dance in this strange country again. The strong wind swirls with Ryan's unrecognizable movements, his expression is sad and happy, and the fiery red magic aura surrounds him like a flame, disappearing from the place from time to time, abruptly. Gotta show up somewhere else. Taking a deep breath of the phoenix feathers lit with a gubular fairy fire, the cold and warm feeling burned Ryan's beating heart, and the phoenix pattern on his chest shone with sacred red light. Without speaking, Ryan's voice came to mind from the house elf Jack. Jack, is my dress ready? Jack, on the side, as if it was commonplace, lowered his head and replied, Master, the dress has been made, do you go first? I'll take a shower first, just get ready. Still without speaking, Ryan interrupted. After pushing open the door of the practice room and walking through the ginza lit with gubray fairy fire on both sides, Ryan came to the elevator, where Ryan's latest work was. Press the button for the first floor and enter the elevator. The elevator door, which is made of dark, deep and strange metal, slowly opens, and the bathroom is directly opposite it. Ignoring the flirtations of the mermaids in the magic painting, Ryan slowly sank into the bath, emptied his mind for the first time in a long time, and fell into a state of neither thinking nor thinking. Before I knew it, it was already 5 p.m. Race, Wizard Strength 19, Normal Human Limit is 10, Constitution 31, the limit for ordinary people is 10, Magic Power 26, Normal Human Limit is 10, Skills, Thinking LV 4, 21%, Body Modification LV 4, 2%, Alchemy LV 3, 24%, Spells LV 4, 2%, Potions LV 2, 21%, Transfiguration LV 3, 6%, Magical Biology LV 2, 55%, Gunfighting LV 3, 5%, Martial Arts LV 2, 26%, Reconnaissance LV 2, 49%, Phoenix Incarnation LV 2, 1%, Telepathy LV 1, 44%. This time Ryan directly apparated to Hogsmeade Village, the Fengai Wizard clothing store next to Central Avenue, which is also Smith's property, Literary Residence Quill Shop, Post Office, Zuko's Joke Shop, 3 Broomsticks, honey shops like the Duke, the Screaming Shack are all on this street. Ryan pushed open the door in the corner of the Fengai Wizard clothing store and blended into the crowd without leaving a trace. At this time, people were coming and going in Hogsmeade. Many young wizards who lived in Hogsmeade returned to the village during the holidays. They were all filled with joy and laughter. Ryan couldn't help but smile. He was wearing a white gold-rimmed wizard's robe, and his head was covered by the hat that came with the wizard's robe. Only his exposed eyes could be seen. Slowly walked towards Mrs. Puttifu's tea house. On this festival, young wizard couples in 3rd grade and above gathered in this tea house full of girlish atmosphere. The store is small and steamy, and everything is decorated with ruffles or bows. There is a green Christmas tree standing next to each small round table, and the little snowman on the table sometimes sprinkles snow-white confetti on people. Ryan agreed to Mrs. Puttifoot, who was obese, and sat alone in a corner that had been reserved. He took out a year with the Tibetan snowman, but unlike the usual one, the coquettish Lockhart on the cover had disappeared, leaving only a furry snowman. It was a perfect match to look at snowmen on a snowy day, and to study magic books. In fact, he was disgusted by the Lockhart on the cover of the book. About 15 minutes later, Ryan saw Lockhart using his mysterious XZ magic to subdue the terrible snowman. Although there were many ridiculous parts, Ryan still found some rigorous parts, which must have been the operation of the original owner of this story wave. This must be Kate. The strange thing is that Ryan can never detect her magical aura in advance. The same goes for her footsteps. Is she too short? Penelope, who was wearing a green wizard robe on the side, picked up the black tea that had been ordered and poured a cup of tea for Kate. Kate picked up the teacup naturally, drank the tea and drank the green bean cake she picked up from the plate in one gulp. Well, it's come alive. Penelope, here, this is delicious. Kate said lively. Penelope took a sip of black tea and ignored it. Ryan, you mentioned 3 key points for healing as before last time, But I still don't understand part of it. Penelo asked with a frown. Healing wounds, the content is not really important, what is important is the illustrations. Kate on the side had a puffed-up face in boredom, and ate pastries as if to retaliate. After a while, she, a Ravenclaw, also joined the discussion. Penelope's views are sharp and Kate's ideas are unconventional, which have brought Ryan a lot of gains. Different and fresh insights that are not on the book are really interesting. The two parties exchanged their daily routines again. From time to time, Kate complained about Penelo's silly things. While reading, she accidentally walked into the wrong bathroom where Myrtle usually stayed, and got drained in water. The Christmas party. Penelo left quickly with blushing ears. Kate, who pretended to cover her eyes with her hands, also joked and walked away. Ryan stayed where he was. Snow-white confetti was scattered on the spot where Ryan had just been kissed. With a faint smile, Ryan, who had already paid the bill, suddenly disappeared into the tea house. Is this a step forward? Is this what it feels like to be in love? Why are you so happy? After returning home, Ryan couldn't help but think that the magic of happiness couldn't stop pouring out of his body. In the training ground, the withered flowers bloomed again, and the leaves and grass were all green again. It's great to be young. Penelo, who was originally just a tool to study the magic of love, unknowingly took a new place in Ryan's heart. Thanks to Yuchi Jinayan, 160,711,234,724,904 for their monthly tickets, and Mingwu or 2 for his comments. Chapter 32 Killing the Spider. The next day, in the study, Ryan looked through Penelo's letter. It seemed that nothing had happened in the letter, and there were a few simple magic questions in Ryan's opinion. At the end of the letter, Penelo mentioned that she did not go back to Hogwarts yesterday, but went home directly from the station in Hogsmeade for Christmas and simply added his holiday blessings. After writing, Ryan gave the letter to Jack and asked Jack to arrange for it to be sent by all mail. After a quick breakfast and changing into a simple outfit, Ryan prepared to go to the Forbidden Forest of Hogwarts again, but this time he would go there in person. I was supposed to go check out the spot yesterday, but a wonderful accident happened. However, it doesn't hurt. Hogwarts was almost completed when Ryan transformed into a phoenix. If you're looking for a human place in the Forbidden Forest, there are a few good options. There are 3 inaccessible locations in this forest on the west side of Hogwarts Castle. First, the Horse People's territory is close to the rock wall of the back mountain. As one of the largest groups in the Forbidden Forest, no living thing dares to approach their territory. They are good at hunting with bows and arrows, and even the sky has become a forbidden land for various creatures covered with moss. Except for birds like the ball-shield bird that can teleport in a small range, large birds like the augur and hippogriff cannot stop at all. This is a natural danger in itself, and the horse people can only hold the front hut. When you find that the ground seems to be sloping downwards, you're there. The Acromantula is nocturnal, and due to excessive breeding, no creature, except Hagrid, dares to set foot there, even during the day. The trees in this wide depression have been cleared away, and a misty, hemispherical spider web covers the entire depression. It is covered with spiders, each as big as a cart horse, with 8 eyes and 8 legs. A dark, hairy spider. Third, beside the stream in the center of the Forbidden Forest, there are a large number of poisonous thorn grass, yew, oak, and two-eared grass growing here. A colony of powerful magical creatures, such as unicorns and thestrals, who prefer vegetarian food or have a gentle personality. Fourth, in the deepest and darkest place of the Forbidden Forest, there is a community of werewolves. During the day, they capture and store food and rest at night. When the moon is full and crazy, surround yourself with a fence that you have prepared in advance. They are the most isolated and unknown werewolf group. They do not interact with any intelligent creatures and exile themselves. Their existence can only be known by the occasional wolf howl coming from the depths of the Forbidden Forest. Ryan was going to the rock wall. There were several dead spots on the rock wall from a high place. Shattered into pieces. Full of obstacles. Shattered into pieces. Thunderbolt explosion. Invisible sword. Avada is eating the big melon. Ryan chanted silently in his heart, and beams of magic light formed by spells rushed into the sky. When he got interested, Ryan flashed up and stayed in midair. Avada eats a big melon. Their eyes. At the same time, there was a chaotic sound, as if an invisible giant was flying through the air. At the same time, a spider turned over and lay on its back. On the rock, There were no scratches on his body, but he was undoubtedly dead. In the evening, Ryan, who had given up eating, still came back to his senses. Ryan, who had been casting spells non-stop, was still energetic for dinner. On the other side, Ryan, who returned to the castle, straightened his collar and said to the heir, "Yes, master." Jack, the house elf, appeared and said. After a while, Ryan, who was eating crab noodles, smacked his mouth, and couldn't help but sigh. It's really enjoyable, this kind of continuous output. It was also the first time that Ryan truly realized his own power. The spiders that were called Avidar could be wizards. If he flashed and called Avidar continuously on impulse, the Ministry of Magic would be slaughtered in less than an hour. Raising his slender white fingers, Ryan couldn't help but be a little stunned. Will I start school in 4 years? Ryan asked himself. Why not? Wouldn't an immersive version of Harry Potter be more interesting? It's just that Voldemort will never have the chance to kill any innocent life again. Really? The Avada, haven't even reached level 5 yet. I can't lower my standards just because the current wizards are weak. What will the scenery be like when it comes to level 7, level 8, killing curse? Master, would you like some crab vinegar? Jack interrupted Ryan's thoughts in broken Chinese. No need. Ryan replied calmly. Back in the room with pink atmosphere, Ryan put on his pajamas and closed his eyes. Unknowingly, 3 months passed and it was already 3. March 3rd is Easter, followed by a 2-week holiday. It would be great if I had so many holidays when I went to school in my previous life, Ryan thought after receiving Kate's letter and knowing that he was going to have another holiday. Ryan suddenly thought of something, and wrote a wicked reply, mentioning that the school year exams will be held in June, and he suggested that he should review well to avoid bad results after the holidays. This is a trouble that only Kate will encounter. Ryan imagined Kate's distressed look after being enlightened by him, and laughed heartily. But when Ryan wakes up for a while, Kate, like Ron, will probably disapprove of it. After all, there are still 2 months until the exam, and cramming is always the nature of scumbag students, as well as that weird optimism. Well, let's send this letter to Pinello instead to stimulate her. The top academics probably pay the most attention to this. Pinello will probably discuss the study plan with me in the next letter. By then, Kate will there's no way to escape it, haha. After correcting the letter and finishing the last bite of the meal, Ryan straightened his body compassionately, crossed himself on his chest, and prayed for Kate who still had to study during the holidays. Really, madam, happy, no, pitiful. Ryan changed into plain wizard robe and went to the Forbidden Forest to practice again, rain or shine. Spiders, your emperor is back thanks to classmate 201712311359028818 for the reward. Chapter 33 The End of One Academic Year. Chapter 33 The End of the School Year. In what aspect does a person's charm mainly come out? Appearance, conversation, knowledge? Appearance does not just refer to good-looking facial features. To become a girl's sweetheart, most have other add-ons. Good skin, non-greasy, refreshing, and well-proportioned body are also important items to evaluate your sweetheart. Conversation refers to communication skills. When communicating, you can get the point just right and make people feel happy. Knowledge is an important item in the eyes of some little fans who love learning. They may be just friends or rejected at first, but as long as they have the opportunity to get in-depth contact, it will be difficult to get rid of it. In Penelope's eyes, her boyfriend Ryan is a charming person who is slender and well-proportioned. That's right, although Penelope didn't know, but Ryan's body modification skills have made him almost perfect both in appearance and inside. Not to mention that he originally had a good foundation. And he is not like other little boys of the same age who always deliberately bully themselves to attract attention and maturity. The most important thing is that Ryan understands a lot of deviant magic knowledge, which is not consistent with the mainstream views in books. However, Penelope tried privately and learned more magic smoothly. Although Penelope sometimes hates Ravenclaw for being too indifferent and even wants to go to Hufflepuff, the thirst for mysterious knowledge is also on the side that Penelope cannot get rid of. During the time they knew each other, Penelope felt like she had lost herself, and Ryan was always able to help her, both in her studies and in her life. Most importantly, he made her realize that Kate was a good friend. In the previous incident of the crying boy Rocky, Penelope noticed Kate's actions at the first time and was ready to distance herself from her. But Ryan's reminder made Penelope realize that Kate did this for her, and later Kate made her discover the hateful red-haired informant Percy. Sometimes when she was sober, she wondered if it was an adult wizard who used Polyjuice potion to transform into a child and dated her. But Kate personally went to the Book of Admission to investigate for her, and found that Ryan Smith was indeed a student of Hogwarts, but 4 years later, in the same class as the savior Harry Potter. This turned out to be Ryan's secret, and this was the reason why he had been avoiding some of her questions. Penelope wondered if she should expose Ryan and take revenge on this little liar. But with Kate's hint, you will find that she is not much better, pretending to be a little wizard of Muggle origin, and finding topics to chat with Ryan. What's more, Ryan can transform into a phoenix, and Penelope, who knows the magic of the phoenix, knows what kind of great magic it is, which is fascinating. Becoming a magical creature, or an Avidar as Ryan calls it, is amazing and mysterious. Finally, on Christmas Day, Penelope made up her mind and gave a reply. But something very strange recently is that when Ryan turned into a phoenix and chatted at night recently, although he was in high spirits, he still felt a little lacking in energy, as if he had just been engaged in a magic duel. What letter will Ryan write to me tomorrow? Penelope thought in the bedroom. Oops, I'm just here to celebrate Easter. Oh, I'm going to die. I've been studying Transfiguration too much recently, and I haven't finished memorizing the history of magic yet. Penelope, who received a letter the next day, was lettered by Ryan. The information mentioned inadvertently in the article woke me up from the joy of the Easter holiday. There will be exams in June, Kate. Penelope suddenly called out to Kate, who was tiptoeing to leave. Come on, let's go to the lounge and find some information about previous year's exams. It's just a holiday and we can make a study plan. Isn't the exam in June? I don't want to. I have planned to relax. Penelope, you can't be so cruel. Resistance is futile. After saying this, Penelope lifted Kate up like a chicken. Kate seemed to understand that resistance was useless. Her face dropped and she stopped struggling. One more thing. I'm going to write to Ryan and ask some questions. What if I have to take the exam? Penelope added. So, in the Ravenclaw lounge in the evening, the phoenix-looking Ryan was pulled in again and asked a lot of questions. Finally, Penelope added, pay attention to the letter, there's still something inside. Have I shot myself in the foot? On the other side, Ryan, who is unlocking the phoenix incarnation in the practice room, helplessly opened his eyes. Penelope has been less and less able to hide himself recently. I suspect she is greedy for my head. The difficult 3 months of preparations were finally over, and June arrived. Although they were in different places, Ryan and Kate exhaled at the same time as they realized that the hell of the study plan was gone. Kate, exams are no longer hell, but paradise without Penelope. What's more, after the exam results are released in the second week of June, followed by the final dinner, the next third week will be time for summer vacation. In September, she will be a second-year student at Hogwarts. How much workshop will she be by then? Kate quickly wrote a letter to Ryan and made an appointment where to go to London during the summer vacation. Then she would no longer be called Penelope. Ryan, like her, suffered from Penelope syndrome and did not want to face Penelope for the time being, so it was better to communicate through letters. What's more, doesn't Penelope prefer to communicate through letters? I'm such a good friend, Kate said after writing the letter. Kate's letter. Ryan took the letter from Jack. Fortunately, Penelope happened to have a family trip at home recently, otherwise I would have been too busy. Ryan exhaled thankfully. I'm so strong now. No, I still can't commit suicide. Let's go to a travel agency during the summer vacation and see what the wizarding world has to offer. Ryan considered. Ryan finished writing the letter and gave it to Jack to arrange for the owl to deliver the letter. A horror trip? I've wanted to go on it for a long time, but unfortunately my father and mother have never let me go. They are going on a business trip during the summer vacation. I'm here for a horror trip. On the other side, Kate thought excitedly after receiving the letter and checking it. So the next day, after receiving the reply and confirming the time, Ryan came to number 59 Diagon Alley alone. Horrible Tour is a wizarding travel agency located at 59 Diagon Alley. They offer thrilling vacations like renting out Dracula's castle in Transylvania, hiking along the Zombie Trail, touring the Bermuda Triangle, and more. The company's advertising is that it is not responsible for any injuries or deaths that may occur during these trips. However, Ryan's previous investigation found that no wizard died during the so-called thrilling vacation trip. The above statement was nothing more than a gimmick, which just happened to bring Kate along. Chapter 34 Ignatius Peveril. This travel agency looks unremarkable from the outside. It is probably a house designed by the same designer as Ollivander, but it is not as dilapidated as Ollivander. The gold letters on the door can clearly read the name of Horror Journey words. Opening the door, there is a receptionist on the right side of the room, sitting on a high chair, leaning on a marble stone platform. Behind him are some photos of travel places, including a deep castle with lightning still shining. Under the moonlit night, a group of base stretch out rotten arms, the Bermuda Triangle is surrounded by stormy seas, etc. Seeing Ryan walking in, the receptionist stood up slowly, walked around the stone platform from the back exit, and handed over something like a menu and a quill. "Sir, welcome to the Horror Journey. It's been a long time since I've seen a customer come to my door in person. They usually make reservations by owl." The receptionist hurriedly highlighted a long list of words. "Look at it first. If there's anything you don't know how to fill in, just tell me. You haven't thought about whether I am just here to visit," Ryan said with a wooden face, pretending to be serious. "So, who are you?" The receptionist's ears turned red with embarrassment. "But you're very lucky, I just want to travel," Ryan politely interrupted before the situation got out of hand. He walked to the small jujube-colored round table aside and looked at what looked like a menu. "Hey, it's quite detailed. Departure place? There are a few more options. Dazzling array of things. Menu," Ryan complained in his mind. "Here, from July 7th to 1st, the starting point will be Godric's Hollow. Take a closer look," Ryan said after filling out the form. "Well, okay, let's see, 2 people? 50 gold galleons, including the restaurant, the total is 100 gold galleons. You pay 60 gold galleons first as a deposit, and the remaining 40 will be settled when you come back," reception member said. "Then I can get there at 7 p.m. on July 1st, right?" Ryan asked casually as he took out 6 gold galleons from the bag that had been cast with a traceless stretching spell. "You still need this. There are muggles at the starting point of Godric's Hollow. We will pretend to be an ordinary travel agency. We will come to pick you up after seeing this small flag." The receptionist clicked a number and asked from behind the stone platform. He took out 2 small flags with skulls on them and said, "The birthplace of the boy who lived is also there. The Potter family's old house is also there. You can get there early. Only wizards can see it." "Oh, that's good. That's why I chose this starting point. You can also take a bus from the starting point of Godric's Hollow. Then it will be just me and Kate. We don't have to take the bus with other tourists. We can be alone. It's a decent trip, but it's also much more expensive," Ryan thought to himself. Godric's Hollow was named after Godric Gryffindor, the founder of Hogwarts, who was born here and left his name in history, and it is also the final remaining place of at least one member of the Peveril family. If Ryan guessed correctly, this can be regarded as the ancestral land of the Smith family. After the signing of the International Statute of Secrecy in 1689, Godric's Hollow became one of the villages with more wizards living in it. Many famous wizarding families have lived here. The Dumbledore family and Bathilda Bagshot both lived in this village. However, the Dumbledore family moved to Godric's Hollow after Albus Dumbledore's father Percival was imprisoned. At that time, Bathilda Bagshot was their neighbor, sent another small flag to Kate by owl and agreed to meet at Godric's Hollow at 11 tomorrow. The next day, Ryan, who went to the Forbidden Forest to exercise as usual in the morning, returned to the bathroom of the castle at close to 11 o'clock. After a brief wash, he put on the wizard's robe embroidered with pockets that cast a traceless stretching spell, which was filled with the things Jack had prepared in advance of daily necessities and muggle currency. Then he appraised early to the center of Godric's Hollow, to a square next to a building that looked like a war monument. This place is also unplattable on the map. In the eyes of muggles, it is a war monument. Ryan can appear directly with confidence and boldness, and muggles will think everything is normal. It was still early, so Ryan approached a monument disheveled hair and glasses, a woman with long hair, beautiful and kind appearance, and a baby boy sitting in his mother's arms. "Is this the sculpture of Harry Potter's family?" Ryan followed the path Harry and Hermione took in the original book and walked towards the central church. Behind the church, there are rows of tombstones, all with the names of wizards. The one on the outside is indeed the same as the original work. The surname is Abbott, who is probably a relative of Hannah Abbott. The original work does not specifically mention where the graves of Dumbledore's mother and sister are. Ryan bent down and looked carefully at the inscriptions on the ancient tombstones. With little effort, Ryan found it. On the frozen, moss-mottled granite is carved Kendra Dumbledore. The dates of birth and death are below that of her daughter Ariana. Are no tributes or flowers, solitary, but this may be because the wizards have magic paintings. Aberforth has been accompanying his sister's magic paintings all day long, so why would he return to the sad place? Albus Dumbledore is probably the same. I originally thought I would meet some wizards, but there was no one. There was a triangular mark. This must be the tombstone of Ignitus. Ryan bent down and confirmed it carefully. Ryan's eyes, as bright as the moon, suddenly seemed to be ignited with flames. Ryan used Phoenix's vision. Under the tombstone, the coffin was empty. There were no remains, only a few pieces of silverware. Ryan seemed to scratch the air with his hand. A still sparkling necklace appeared in Ryan's hand. When I opened the camera in the middle, there was a photo in a young wizard with black eyes. When they were teenagers, Dumbledore and Grindelwald also investigated this place. Did they do any digging? Or can it only be discovered from Ryan Phoenix's perspective? This is the breath of death? Is this what God looks like? Ryan sighed. Maybe he is just a descendant of God. Ryan carefully put the silverware into his pocket. There was a strange magical atmosphere in the distance. Ryan suddenly appeared at the agreed place. Sure enough, it was the night bus. Kate was here. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35, Night Bus. So fast, a purple three-decker bus suddenly appeared from the thin air. No, it should be said that it was a giant beast speeding on land. He rushed straight towards the church, and all the obstacles in its direction seemed to come alive, automatically jumping to the side to avoid them. Gold letters written on the car's windshield formed the words, "Night bus surroundings. The car has stopped," and an elderly wizard can be seen through the windshield. He wears a pair of thick glasses and his face looks like an owl. This should be Ernplan, the driver of the night bus, but a driver like him who can't look at the road doesn't know what it feels like to drive a big guy and run rampant. But Ernprang, sprang means crash a car in English slang. Ryan looked at this extraordinary creation with the professional eyes of an alchemist. It also had a similar function to the Book of Access. As long as a wizard in urgent need of transportation stretched out his hand holding a wand on the roadside, it would make sense. The driver will show up driving it. Amazing, really amazing. After I graduate, I will drive a car like this and travel around the world. A driver in a purple uniform jumped out of the bus and pretended to speak loudly to the audience. Welcome aboard the night bus, emergency transport for witches or wizards, and just stick out your wand and step on board, and we'll take you wherever you want to go. The name is Stan Sandpark, and I am your driver today, Stanchion Parker. The unlucky guy whose bragging led to him being arrested is a Death Eater? He has such a strong desire to show off. Ryan thought to himself. Sir, do you want to take a ride? Continued. Ryan said nothing and pointed at the little witch behind Stan. What Stan meant was probably not as sophisticated and thick-skinned as the original. Stan scratched his head shyly. He still looked very young, about 14 or 15 years old. Since he came out to work at such a young age, he was probably educated by a family wizard who is not mentioned in the original book. Harry saw him for the first time before the start of his third-grade self-introduction. Is there now? It was used by Harry in his third year of school and hasn't been changed yet. The attention shifted from Stan to Kate today. Stan had returned to the car and disappeared as the night bus disappeared. Kate wore a lion head hat. The furry lion vividly opened its mouth. When paired with a brown fur-textured wizard robe, it looked like a little lion walking upright. Dang, I look cool today. He didn't say anything, but he took the dragon skin bag from Kate's hand and put it into his pocket as if no one else was watching. Kate puffed up her baby face and pulled the lion's mane angrily. Kate, don't you know we are going on a trip? Ryan rubbed his eyes. Well, is something wrong? Kate replied in confusion. You dress cool, but you don't look too muggle. We will also be close to Muggle society during our trip. Ryan explained patiently. Also, why is it a lion's head? Ryan looked confused. Why can't it be a lion? Do Ravenclaws have to like eagles? Kate responded happily when she saw that her outfit attracted Ryan's curiosity. As for why I'm dressed like this, I'm a Muggle expert, and I've been to the amusement park. You don't know why I made an appointment to meet here in advance, right? I want to show you the special food of Godric's Hollow. My family is from here too. Kate rolled her eyes and changed the subject. Muggle expert Kate then led Ryan to the reserved restaurant wearing a wizard robe similar to a puppet costume that she would only wear on Halloween. Food? I'm looking forward to it. Ryan couldn't help but reveal a mask of pain in his heart. British food? Oh my god. Kate took Ryan around a street with familiarity and walked to an ordinary small shop. The style of the shop is very non-witchcraft, like restaurants that can be seen everywhere on the streets of Britain. In addition to colorfully dressed wizards, there were also scattered muggles in the store. What was even more interesting was that there were also a few muggles wearing homemade wizard robes. They probably thought this place was just for role-playing or something. The owner of the hotel is a pot-bellied wizard who seems very easygoing. He should know Kate and greet her kindly. After finding a private room, Kate proudly showed Ryan today's lunch and bread. Lamb tripe stuffed with meat, a traditional local delicacy, one of the delicacies brought to Scotland after the Vikings invaded Scotland, a dark dish in Ryan's eyes. The beer belly wizard pioneered the use of a new ingredient, venison instead of lamb. In addition to the traditional onions and bacon, the meat filling also contains fresh deer offal, a little deer lungs, blood clots, deer kidneys, etc. The meat filling is also filled with an astonishing amount of dried allspice from West India, stock and not to forget Scottish oats. The beer belly wizard claims that only Kate can make this dish. The meat filling needs to be cooked for about 2 to 3 hours, and finally it is poured into the deer belly and processed again. How should I put it? It was all about the smell of spices, and the taste of meat and offal was ignored. It was delicious, but Ryan didn't like it very much. Of being British, the surf and turf dinner is a very common dish, which is scallops, black sausage, crispy bacon and chopped chives. Each ingredient is processed separately first, and then stir-fried in one pot, a northeastern seafood stew version. After eating for about half an hour, I walked out of the small restaurant under the warm hospitality of the beer-bellied wizard. Ryan, this venison is pretty good, Kate said, taking credit. Yeah, it's very good. Ryan replied against his will and rubbed Kate's lion head. It feels so warm to the touch, Ryan thought to himself. I'll show you the deliciousness of a Chinese dinner someday. Kate, do you have any other plans today? Ryan asked. No, Godric's Hollow is a good place for tourism. There are many graves of ancient wizards here. Even Harry Potter, the boy who survived, was born here. Harry Potter? Let's go to the Potter's house this afternoon. Ryan thought I sent the wrong volume. I sent it again. Chapter 36 Potter's House. Chapter 36 Potter's House. After just finishing their meal and deciding on the arrangements for the afternoon, Ryan suddenly thought of a topic that Kate was very interested in. You must know that she is one of Dumbledore's fans, and she almost went to Gryffindor because of Dumbledore. Kate, how well do you know Dumbledore? Kate was indeed attracted to her attention and asked, Dumbledore, what does this have to do with Dumbledore? Aren't the Dumbledore families all in the fertile plains of England? Good guy, you know all about such obscure knowledge points. Mother's tombstone. However, the trouble is that Potter's old house is outside the village, which is some way away. Walking back, Ryan carried Kate effortlessly, and the lion's mane kept scratching Ryan's neck. I visited the Harry Potter sculpture again, heading towards the street opposite the church, which leads to the outside of the village. After walking for a while, there appeared rows of houses with a ruin in the middle, surrounded by messy hedges and waist-deep trees. But worry whether it was a mistake to come here, whether the atmosphere was wrong, bringing a girl to this place. You must know that this place is not only a scenic spot, but also a symbol of Voldemort's defeat and the arrival of peace. Kate put her hand on the door, and a wooden sign rose from the ground in front of them, emerging from the tangle of nettles and weeds like some strange, rapidly growing flower. The gold letters on the sign read, 1981-1031. Lily and James Potter died here. Their son Harry was the only wizard to survive the killing curse. Invisible to Muggles, the house has been preserved as it is, with its ruins serving as a memorial to the Potters and a reminder of the violence that tore the family apart. Next to these neat words, which were various inscriptions, all of them were written by wizards who came to see the place where the boy who lived had death escaped. Some simply wrote their names in everlasting ink, some carved their initials on wooden plaques, and still others wrote messages. These magical doodles are sparkling and have roughly the same content. Good luck to you, Harry, wherever you are. Hope you read that, Harry. We're all rooting for you. Long live Harry Potter. Ryan was also pulled by Kate and wrote a message wishing Harry Potter good luck. Really, the pleasant atmosphere at the beginning was gone, Ryan complained secretly. Girl? Although I also think about the side effects of this skill intentionally. Ryan smiled. Unknowingly, it was 6 o'clock, and a black carriage appeared from the mist, accompanied by the sound of jingling bells. Are you Mr. Smith and Ms. Lewinster? Welcome aboard. The first stop is the Vampire Castle in Romania. A short hook-nosed wizard in black wizard robes appeared from the side of the carriage with a smile on his face. Down the steps, hook-nosed wizard bent down and moved for Ryan and the two to get in the car. What the hell? This is called pretending to be a Muggle tour group? Is there something wrong between you and me and our definition of Muggles? Ryan complained in his heart. At the same time, Kate suddenly jumped off Ryan's back. The entire carriage was in Gothic style, and the interior of the carriage was larger than expected. The ground was covered with a blood-red carpet, and bat-like magic lamps flapped their wings in the air. Bathroom, entertainment room, and bedroom. Mr. Smith, Ms. Lewinster, you will spend the night dining on the carriage tonight. There is tea in the entertainment hall, and you can take whatever food you want. The hook-nosed wizard also followed, closed the door, opened the door and leaned against the entertainment room. Directly opposite the hall is a black coffin. That coffin turned out to be the driver's cab. Kate said seriously. Chess and other common games. Kate pulled Ryan and walked to the sofa to play with the gobstones. Gobstone is a game mostly popular among wizarding children. It uses a special stone. The gameplay is similar to the Muggle Marbles game. The main difference is that when one side loses a point, the stones will move towards the person who lost the point. A foul-smelling liquid is sprayed on the face. Ryan was speechless. Romania is still far away, and there are so many exploding cards. Kate suggested. Ryan was speechless. Are these the only games in the wizarding world? Let's take a look at the scenery. Look, how beautiful it is. Ryan opened the one-way window next to the sofa, and the scenery passing by quickly left Ryan speechless. What scenery is there? I can't see anything clearly. Kate puffed up her face. Mr. Lane, wait until the castle. The bat light will play beautiful music to remind you and your friends to get off the car. The hook-nosed wizard's voice came from the coffin, easing the embarrassing situation. But, tomorrow morning, if you just said it now, you must have forgotten to say it. Ryan thought immediately. Ryan picked up the tea on the table and poured a full cup for Kate and himself. He picked up a pack of chocolate frogs, opened it, and took out the picture. The picture showed a man's face, wearing a pair of half-moon glasses, a long crooked nose, and silver hair and beard hanging down. It's Dumbledore. Ryan, you'll find him as soon as you take it. You know, I only have 3 Dumbledores. Kate exclaimed, stuffed with licorice. One's dark wizard Grindelwald and discovered the 12 uses of dragon's blood. He was very effective in alchemy with his partner Nico Flamel. Professor Dumbledore loved chamber music and 10-pin bowling. First time Ryan saw Kate like this, thanks to 201712311359028818 for the reward. I posted the wrong chapter today. After I reposted it, I received the reward. I am now writing another chapter. Chapter 37, The Magic of Gestures. Spellcasting technique? You mentioned this. Ryan was a little curious and looked at Kate, who was shaking the lion's head. This award is named after Barnabas Finkley, the master of gesture magic, and is awarded to those who have excellent spellcasting skills. Kate said proudly when she saw that Ryan didn't know. Gestures? It's just another interpretation of the spell, an unnecessary product to reduce the difficulty of casting spells. This award is actually of little value from a magic point of view. No wonder the manufacturer of the chocolate frog did not add this honor. Ryan used his mind communication skills to Kate said that after all, magical knowledge was not something the driver could hear. Mr. Ryan, why do you say that? There are many famous wizards who claim that gestures can enhance the power of spells. Kate replied in her heart usually, blinking her big curious eyes. So cute. From Ryan's perspective, Kate is like the female students who called Ryan Sensen in the Japanese Good Boy movie in her previous life. Yet, let Lensen teach you. Len said with a righteous face, Dens, teacher, don't worry about those details. 5 points from Ravenclaw, do you know about speech? Ryan asked, what? Does speech have to do with gestures? Kate looked confused. There have been studies in this area in the Muggle world for a long time. Have you noticed that some speakers always dance when they talk about being happy? Why is that? Make people more convincing? Increase confidence. Kate guessed. Yes, it is to increase self-confidence. The height of the fountain will not exceed its source. The power of the spell also depends on a wizard's self-confidence. Just like silent spellcasting, as long as you have firm belief, you can successfully cast a spell even if you don't recite the spell. This is a superb skill that is only taught in the 6th grade of Hogwarts. Ryan paused and continued to communicate with his mind. The same goes for gestures. Do you know Wackle-too? Kate was so excited that she forgot to communicate with her thoughts for a while, and a long paragraph of words could not stop coming out of her mouth. Then do you know their characteristics? Ryan asked. I've known these issues since I was 7, Kate replied. Ryan couldn't help but be surprised. Why did you emphasize the age of 7? Kate confidently introduced. Wackle is an ancient school with at least 1,000 years of history. It is the largest of all wizard schools and recruits students from every corner of this huge land in Africa. It is the only magic school that does not hide its location. The address is the Mountain of the Moon, which is a breathtaking stone building on the mountainside, hidden in the mist, sometimes as if it is floating. Kate continued with such an eloquent sermon, few wizards at Hogwarts would be willing to listen to the story of an African magic school. Also, their students are very cool. Many of their spells and magic can be cast with just a finger or a gesture. Just waving your hand can make a person's jaw drop. They are also good at self-transfiguration. Unlike animagus, they are all common animals in Africa. Little wizards around 14 years old can turn into elephants and cheetahs at will. Kate continued, eyes full of admiration. Stop, Kate, you just mentioned gestures. Yes, gestures. Why do wizards in Wackle only need gestures? That's because hands are a kind of spell. Ryan paused, and modern magic in our British region is not useless. Stability. The triangle is always the most stable structure. The triangle of gestures, spells, and emotions will prevent little wizards from casting spells at risk. It is more powerful than gestures alone. Modern magic that requires 3 elements at the same time is much more powerful than African magic that only uses gestures. Otherwise, why? Wackle's battle mainly relies on self-transformation. Ryan used the thought, emphasizing Kate's heart. You know, the mysterious man also traveled. In order to achieve a breakthrough in magic, if gesture magic is really strong, why is it still dominated by modern magic? The reason why many famous wizards claim that gestures can enhance the power of spells is because the gestures enhance their self-confidence, or they happen to be close to and consistent with the gestures of some powerful ancient wizards, triggering some indescribable power. That's not what you should know now, Kate. Ryan was about to stop the topic. Going a step further will involve dangerous areas. Without a system, modern magic would be enough for a wizard to study for a lifetime. Knowing too much is sometimes not a good thing. For example, Luna's mother died because of magic experiments in the original book. What's even weirder is that Luna even kept the horn of a poisonous horn in her house, which was collected as the horn of an imaginary snorkel. You know, the horn of the poisonous horned beast will explode with just the slightest touch. Seeing that Ryan stopped the topic, Kate was a little dissatisfied, but when she thought of discussing her favorite school with the little devil she had a crush on, her dissatisfaction disappeared immediately. Ryan, the first stop today is the vampire castle. I'm very curious about what vampires are like. Kate thought about vampires again. Vampires? Kate, this is something that is taught in the 3rd grade defense against the dark arts class, along with werewolves. Ryan joked. Okay, Ryan's small class has started again. Vampires, to be more precise, should be called living dead that attack people for the purpose of sucking blood. The magic classification level is XXX. Vampires are widely found all over the world. They are monsters that can transform into bats and fly around blood. You can use crosses and garlic to defeat vampires. Some people think that if you make bread with the blood of vampires and wheat flour, you will not be attacked by vampires after eating it. Of course, this is definitely nonsense. The most effective way to get rid of a vampire is to dig up the grave, pierce his heart and chop off his head. This will be foolproof. Lane concluded. If you have read Blood Brothers, My Life Among Vampires by Elder Walpole, you will probably know more about this creature. As a popular science, it does a good job. Thanks to Taishi Yumasilk for the reward, monthly ticket and investment. Chapter 38 The Secret of the Vampire. As for Lockhart's Traveling with a Vampire, although it is more interesting, just read it as a novel. Lockhart claimed that a vampire could only eat lettuce. What a joke. Ryan suddenly remembered this, prompted. Elder Walpole, who is he? Kate asked. A ruthless man who risked his life in order to write a book. Personally went to live in vampire society for a period of time as a muggle. Ryan said with a hint of admiration. And he is also a member of the famous Slug Club. He has been visiting Dumbledore recently, hoping to get permission to visit Harry Potter and write a Harry Potter biography. Okay, do vampires only suck blood? Kate suddenly thought with half a chocolate frog in her mouth. Vampires can actually eat a lot of food. Blood sucking is actually not necessary. The act of sucking blood is more like a curse. Kate, can you believe it? Vampires can even eat garlic, but they hate garlic and will actively keep away from it. So this is rarely known. By the way, in Honeydukes, there is a bloody lollipop, which is very popular among vampires. It can still be like this. Kate exclaimed. Time flew by so fast, it was as if Kate and I were hiding in a gap in time. Unconsciously, 2 hours passed. At 8 o'clock in the evening, soft music sounded from the mouth of the bat lamp emerged from the middle. Squeaking, red soup gushes out from the cracks in the coffin. The coffin is slowly opened, revealing red beef stew, and some bread is placed around it. How should I put it? This dish now gives Ryan the feeling of stewing a goose in an iron pot, and the surrounding bread is like a pastry on the edge of the pot. Mr. Elaine, good evening. After you have your meal, press the bell on your left hand and the table will return to normal. The hook-nosed wizard's voice suddenly sounded. This red beef stew tastes like beef brisket stewed with tomatoes. The only difference is that it adds some Romanian specialty spices and the milky flavor brought by some butter. Kate frowned. The sudden dinner made her regret that she shouldn't have eaten so many snacks before. Unlike Kate, Ryan, who had known about dinner plans, simply ate a few chocolate frogs. After the bad taste was over, Ryan suddenly put his hand on Kate's furry belly. What are you doing? Be careful, I tell Pinello. Kate's face turned red. But after a while, she understood Ryan's intention. The feeling of fullness recedes like a tide, and the feeling of hunger keeps coming. Ryan, how did you do that? Kate asked. This is a secret, come on, eat. Ryan said with a mysterious face. This brat. Kate cursed, but after a while she started to enjoy the food. After the meal, Ryan took out a guide to medieval witchcraft and read it with Kate, discussing subrivial magic from time to time. At 11 o'clock in the evening, the light of the bat lamp became dim. of 31, Ryan can already go without rest bathroom. He washed his face and rinsed his mouth briefly. Instead of waiting for Kate to take a bath in the bathroom, Ryan changed out of his wizard robe, put on pajamas with an Australian opal eye dragon printed on them, and walked to the bedroom where 5 people. Ryan touched the coffin, which was the bed, with his hand, and a wandless cleaning came over him. Leaning on the pillow, Ryan read the Daily Prophet again. There was nothing he could do about it. There was no entertainment in the wizarding world that interested Ryan. There is no Wi-Fi or network. Although there is wonderful magic that makes people feel like they are entering the virtual online game panel, Ryan still feels bored occasionally. The 21st century, and these are just a bit fresh. Sometimes, Ryan even has the urge to play games and network in the magical world. But apart from studying magic, in other aspects, Ryan is just a salty fish and does not have such strong mobility. If he had really strong mobility, Ryan would have become famous long ago in his previous life, and he would most likely still be a salty fish after traveling through time. After a while, Kate took out a change of clothes and a fluffy nightgown from the bag she brought. Kate walked in slowly holding a giant lion stuffed animal. Don't worry, it's just a 7-year-old kid here. Kate encouraged herself in her heart. Kate, do you like furry things so much? Ryan couldn't help but complain after seeing Kate's outfit and puppets. What's wrong? It feels so comfortable. Ryan's complaint made Kate forget her worries. She laid on the other side of the coffin and took out a copy of The Great Wizard of the 20th Century from the lion doll and imitated Ryan. Looked up. In the following time, there was no communication, only the sound of turning pages of books. Ryan didn't know why the atmosphere was particularly calm. Looking to the other side, Kate lay on the book, using it as a pillow, and fell asleep. Ryan stretched, lay down in a strange posture, closed his eyes, and the magic power continued to evolve into substantial vitality, surging around Ryan's body. Jingong, another skill developed by Ryan in order to exercise while sleeping. Romania is a country located in southeastern Europe, with Bucharest as its capital. Its borders are Hungary and Serbia to the west, Bulgaria to the south, and Ukraine and Moldova to the north and northeast. Ryan and Kate went to the ancient castle in Bucharest, the capital of Romania. It uses magic commonly used by wizards. Muggles will think of urgent matters as soon as they get close to it, and they cannot see the castle. This brings confusion to wizards' travel. A great convenience. Bucharest is also an attraction that can only be visited separately on the horror tour by spending extra money. It is full of interesting traps and fixed vampire actors. Even behind this castle is the natural habitat of the Romanian longhorn dragon, the largest and most important fire dragon reserve in the world. At the top of the castle, overlooking this natural habitat and admiring the hunting and playing of the Romanian longhorns with black-green scales and 2 shiny golden horns is also a common thing for traveling wizards. Chapter 39 Uncontrollable Instinct. Early the next morning, a burst of soft music sounded, and Ryan woke up from his meditation. Ryan suddenly found that he was floating in the air without realizing it. After stretching his body, he exhaled a breath of turbid air, and a curious look came from Ryan's right side. What kind of magic is this? Ryan, why are you floating to sleep? Kate blinked her big misty eyes. It's instinct. Ryan didn't say much. Indeed, this is instinct. Magical creatures like phoenix do not rely on wings to fly. They are born to get rid of all constraints, including gravity. They were born to be monarchs of the sky, immortal gods. Hey, Ryan, you are so clean. Kate exclaimed a big city for a long time. It was soft and seemed to be integrated with all things. Kate, this is also instinct. The fiery red magic power ignited, and Ryan, who had changed into a new fiery red dress, turned his head. How can an immortal creature be contaminated by the mortal world? It is just instinct to keep it clean anytime and anywhere. Ryan, who had just woken up, had not yet had time to restrain his strangeness. At this time, the magical charm filled every inch of Ryan's skin and every hair species. His involuntary desire for immortal life was firmly trapped in him. Kate's eyes. The closer to magic, the more powerful the wizard can see more beauty. As a wizard and a short-lived creature, Kate should be strange at this time. In just one moment, the powerful wizard's intuition brought by the investigation and the magic of thinking made Ryan understand everything at this time, and more powerful, extraordinary, and approaching perfection has made Ryan's thinking more suitable for God's perspective, especially after trying to obtain the LV6 death curse. Which came first, the phoenix or the fire? The correct answer to this Ravenclaw knocker question is over and over again, in no particular order. After possessing the ability of the phoenix, Ryan discovered that this answer was not accurate by time. Moreover, Ryan also found that after turning 17 years old and not getting rid of the wizard group mentality, but bypassing this invisible curse through the phoenix ability, he became less and less like a mortal, and some of the magic-like abilities in the novel began to solidify in his body. These abilities have nothing to do with the ability to transform the body. Use magic power to replace eating, sleeping, and even maintain the rhythm of breathing with the world. Now Ryan discovered that while meditating, in ancient times, the uncontrollable magical charm when the phoenix was first born also began to emit. This is a characteristic that only the first generation of the phoenix has. After adjusting his thinking mode, Ryan transformed from the mentality of an immortal god to immortal Ryan. As if she suddenly woke up from a dream, Kate shook her head, as if she thought she had become infatuated just now, suppressing her shame and pretending to be unchallenging. Well, Ryan, it seems we have reached our destination. Kate changed the subject. Okay, I'll go out and wait for you. Ryan followed suit. After all, Ryan was not ready to tell Kate some secrets. Ryan also knew some of the characteristics of Ravenclaw. If the relationship is not in place, don't let others betray you. Your chance Ravenclaws are always comparing themselves to their own achievements. In terms of academic achievements, Ravenclaws also have considerable aspirations. Rita Skeeter and Lockhart are also Ravenclaws. They will play dirty tricks on others, including other students, in order to get higher grades. Gabriel Truman, the prefect of Hufflepuff in the original book, once pointed out that Ravenclaws would be very proud because their house has famous people, such as Laverne de Montmorency, and they claim that all the great people came from their own academy, like Bridget Wenlock. In fact, Wenlock is from Hufflepuff House. All people with Ravenclaw traits also have a bad side, such as Hermione and Ryan himself. In the last part, the defense of Hogwarts, Ravenclaw was the one person with the fewest remaining members except Slytherin. Hufflepuff, who was looked down upon by the other three houses, Hannah Abbott from Hufflepuff and Seamus Finnegan from Gryffindor, were nearly hit by Voldemort. Under the protection of Harry's shield charm, they rushed directly to the Great Hall and joined the fierce battle without hesitation. As a Gryffindor, Seamus Finnegan was naturally not lacking in courage. And although Hannah may be motivated by hatred, after all, her mother was attacked and killed by Death Eaters. But between life and death, if they still choose to join the battlefield, ordinary Hufflepuffs can also show surprising courage. Too much wisdom often makes people judge the situation and lose the most precious things in human nature, and Ryan knows that he is such a person. He took a breath and walked out of his complicated thoughts. The hook-nosed wizard was already waiting in the entertainment hall on where to eat and rest, the layout of traps that were not recommended, and the start time of the next journey. The hook-nosed wizard disappeared from the spot in a flash. In this castle, there were only him and Kate left. No, it's not rigorous enough. The most important vampire actor can be considered half a human being, Ryan thought. About 10 minutes later, Kate, who had changed into Hunter's costume, walked out of the bathroom. Kate, here is today's itinerary. Reed handed over the manual. It's still early. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. There will be breakfast in the castle's auditorium. After 9 o'clock, if you ring the prepared copper bell, the vampires will attack and start attacking us. Ryan saw that Kate was very excited and didn't watch at all. What the manual looks like, he reluctantly introduced, then. What are you waiting for? Let's go. Vampire Hunter Kate is here. Kate was eager to try. Pushing open the door of the carriage, the escalator emerged from the ground, and what came into view was an old castle with dark clouds overhead and lightning flashing. Well, that's it. It's really interesting, vampires in castles. Ryan followed Kate, who was bumping around like a deer, commenting on the decoration of the castle. This is a weather spell. I wonder why vampires come out during the day. Kate guessed. Yes, it's a weather spell, but it's not accurate enough. Ryan reminded, why? Isn't it accurate enough? This is an ancient magic, the predecessor of the weather spell. If it is really a weather spell, at least 10 advanced wizards must cast spells on this castle together to ensure that the thunder and lightning above are just decorations and not hide our heads. The ancient magic master Ryan appeared in 10 advanced wizards? It's too expensive and difficult to get together at once. The weather spell isn't a very difficult spell. People in 5th grade can learn it, right? Kate wondered, magic deeply. Can you change its effect? For example, this weather spell that prevents thunder. This ancient magic was developed by a wizard with vampire blood in it. We arrived at the auditorium, which was filled with sumptuous breakfast, full of Romanian style. Kate liked it very much, but Ryan was very amused and thought he had arrived in China. A lump made of cornmeal that looks like a cake. The polenta is mixed with milk, nuts and fried eggs. Grated lemon and orange peel finally gave Ryan a different feeling. Chapter 40 Vampire Hunter. Why is it not authentic at all? Kate, who had eaten and drank enough, began to curse her. The breakfast disappeared magically, and the auditorium was also decorated magically. There was no spookiness at all like in vampire novels. No spider webs, mice, or bats could be seen, and only the thunder and lightning flashed from time to time. Kate, this is the dining area, and it's also the safe area mentioned in the manual. You haven't read the manual yet, right? Ryan said speechlessly. I'm a professional vampire hunter who has read no less than 10 vampire novels. Do you need to read any manuals? Kate said with her hands on her hips and her face flat with no visible fluctuations. Wait a minute, you didn't think we were going to fight vampires with wands in a moment? Ryan looked at Kate with an idiot look. Isn't it? Kate replied guiltily. Vampires are just creatures. A capable wizard, that is, a creature that can be dealt with by a wizard who has a wand and can do magic spells. If he uses a wand, the vampire actor will probably be on the street as soon as he appears. Unless it is too much? Only a vampire can pose a threat. You can't use magic spells. My front teeth are like big sticks and your wrinkling spells are ready. Kate lowered her head in frustration. It's a good thing I can't use a wand, otherwise I'd really feel sorry for the vampire employees. Kate, there's something more exciting. Ryan turned to a page in the manual, which was full of all kinds of silverware, garlic, crosses, wooden nails and other vampire hunting equipment. Wow! Kate's eyes lit up. Where? Take me there quickly. In the passage next to your left hand, these weapons are enchanted. When the time comes, you can just slash hard at the vampire without actually hurting him. Ryan explained. Gagago, vampire, ghost hunter, here comes Sir Kate. I'm Salvatore Stefan, a hard-working vampire, no, a blood clan member. Unlike other members of his clan who only know how to hang out in the vampire sanctuary, he wants to become a star in the wizarding world like his idol, the vampire. After hard work and relying on his not-so-handsome face, he defeated a dozen of his peers and applied to become an employee of the famous horror tour. You can even live in a spacious and deep castle like some rich grandfathers in the vampire clan, and you can also roleplay and hunt wizards who pretend to be muggles. It is really an excellent job. Since he has no wizard friends, he cannot be famous like Bloody Knee for being written into a book by his friend, Elder Walpole, a literary master. Salvatore can only write himself into the novel, using each roleplay as material, hoping that one day he can actually live in his own castle, buy a lot of bloody lollipops, and even one day, like some wealthy fellow Americans, open hospitals. Unexpectedly, my writing is not bad, and some readers wrote to me to praise me for writing so vividly. One of the readers of Sir Kate, who calls herself a ghost hunter, is particularly enthusiastic. I have been asking many times for tips on how to hunt vampires. Salvatore wanted to refuse, but he thought that the person facing him was a wizard who could easily subdue vampires without any so-called tricks. Plus, he was a loyal fan of him. Plus there was already a part in the book about Salvatore. Votto specially wrote back with his summary and some tips. First, flames or sunlight. Although these things are not like in Muggle novels, where the vampires will turn into ashes when they come into contact with them, they are not much better. They will make the vampires hot and soft. Second, silver. Weapons made of pure silver can inhibit the healing of the blood and flesh of the vampires. Although it can be done by chopping off the head with an iron sword and sticking it in the heart without pulling it out, it is not as immediate as silver. Furthermore, some excellent vampires who have been trained can endure the pain and not faint, and pull out the iron sword by themselves, or reinstall the head. As for silver, no matter how powerful the vampire is, he cannot pull it out by himself, and it is difficult to heal the cut wound. Third, garlic. Most vampires can only eat a small bite of garlic after training, but if you have a lot of garlic, congratulations, no vampire dares to turn into a bat and approach you, otherwise it will turn into a prototype and faint on the ground. As for the rest, most of them are compiled from Muggle novels. For example, throw handfuls of rice, sand, and seeds at vampires, who are obsessed with counting. If you throw these things at them, it will distract them and make them start counting, giving you enough time to escape or fight back. Or something like a bell or a dog whistle. Vampires can't stand the constant noise. This is also fake. If you are a Muggle, it is equivalent to reminding the vampire that dinner is ready and there are living creatures here. There are also knotted ropes or tangled nets that the vampire will be attracted to and insist on trying to untie. However, if the net is strong enough and the mesh is small enough that the vampire cannot transform into a bat and get out, it may be useful. The most ridiculous thing is to wear a cross or read the Bible. This is the most outrageous rumor. After his books became popular, Salvatore also thought about leaving his job, but after leaving this job, where did he find inspiration? And he could not guarantee that every book would be popular. Today is another day for tourists to visit. As reminded by the hook-nosed wizard's colleague, this time they are rich, which is different from the group of people who traveled with the group before Buddy. And there were very few people this time, so the game mode was closer to Salvatore taking the initiative. But it doesn't matter. Most of the wizards are indistinguishable. They have no idea how to use Muggle weapons to deal with vampires. They can't be real vampire hunters traveling here. Well, it seems they are still two little wizards. My next book has been decided, and it's called Home Alone, Attack of the Vampires. Salvatore said confidently. On the other side, Ryan stared at Kate in shock. For a weak creature like a vampire, in Ryan's opinion, it is just an ordinary creature that can be dealt with by a blazing flame. Even without the wand and picking up the sword, for Ryan it's just a sword effort. But the Kate in front of me was, how should I say, really professional. As soon as she arrived at the weapons arsenal, she chose a torch and a dense net made of silver. Compared to vampires, Our wizards are not physically weaker than them, but our strength and speed are slightly lacking. Also, they are born with the ability to transform into bats like animagus. Silverware is the most common weakness of vampires. As soon as they see silverware, they will transform into bats and hide in a group of bats. In this case, a net is better than a sword. Kate said seriously. She didn't know much about other vampires, but after reading more than a dozen vampire novels, she was undoubtedly a professional on how to use muggle weapons to hunt vampires. Even if a vampire can overcome his fear and face silverware, with us having torches and garlic, he will undoubtedly not dare to get close to us for a long time. This net can also be used as a stick. And the torch can also illuminate the surroundings to avoid sneak attacks. Ryan, take the iron shield and silver sword to prevent him from getting close, and don't forget the garlic necklace. Kate gestured. One more thing, we stand diagonally so that we can support each other at any time. While looking straight ahead, we always look at each other with our peripheral vision. Vampire Hunter team, let's go. Chapter 41 Incredible Coincidence. Arriving at the auditorium, Ryan held a shield in his left hand and a sword in his right hand, taking the lead in walking in front of Kate's left. Kate had a serious face and said nothing, indicating with her eyes that it was time to start. Seeing that Ryan was unmoved, he picked up the gavel and rang the bronze bell that represented the beginning. Dang dang dang. Tong Zhuang remembered. Bang. All the torches outside the auditorium were extinguished. The entire castle suddenly turned into a dark and deep hunting ground, and it was unclear which side was the prey. If the bats start flying in the dark passage, vampires may be hiding in them. Ryan and Kate chose the passage to the second floor. Ryan walked in front, waving the silver sword like a layman from time to time, but the iron shield kept moving forward. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The bats kept making annoying noises. In addition, spider webs brushed across his face from time to time, and his silver pupils showed impatience. In order to play this game, Ryan had changed his thinking mode at this time, and Muggle Detective Ryan appeared. According to this person, he should behave carelessly and aggressively, attracting vampires to attack first. Furthermore, this experience can be regarded as a fresh experience, bringing new qualifications to the magic of the heart. Unexpectedly, when he arrived at the corner of the second floor, Ryan still found no trace of vampires under normal vision. From another perspective, Salvatore heard the bell ringing and Sharon climbed out of the coffin. This was a room on the third floor. Salvatore's eyes glowed red, and several bats that also glowed red opened their eyes at the same time. They were distributed in every corner of the castle, and they were Salvatore's eyes. With 2 people and 4 hands, I won't be as unlucky as I am. I got everything right. Salvatore said confidently. How is it possible, Silvernet? How could anyone choose Silvernet? No normal person would choose it. A bat hiding on the first floor saw a picture that surprised Salvatore. A short witch holding a yin wang was hiding behind him, and if he didn't have many eyes, he almost wouldn't notice it. As for torches and silver swords, they are both normal choices. Most tourists use them to light their way, and wizards who know the fact that vampires can eat garlic will not choose garlic necklaces like muggles. A wizard-like necklace. However, something terrible happened. The torch, the garlic necklace, and the silver net came together. Even though I didn't let them appear as weapons at the same time in the novel, the ghost hunter Sir Kate may know it, but it can't be such a coincidence. Luckily, the deadly weapon is in the possession of a short witch. Salvatore's Stefan is going to get serious. Salvatore thought to himself and pressed the knob next to the coffin. A secret passage appeared in the corner of the wall. Look at me attacking from behind. Little wizards, your nightmare's coming. 1 step, 2 steps, 1 step, 2 steps, friction, friction, these are the cautious steps of the vampire. Salvato, who linked the perspectives in front of him and the corner of the second floor at the same time, wiped cold sweat. Using 2 perspectives at the same time was already its limit. Looks, huh. A claw light flashed, and a vampire with a pale face and no present suddenly appeared from around the corner. The attack was on Ryan's garlic necklace, but this extremely confident attack was blocked by the iron shield. Ryan tried his best to control his strength, otherwise the vampire's claws would be broken by the shock alone. Ryan did not continue to attack and gave up his position to Kate, who was holding a torch and holding a silver net. Damn it. Each garlic has been slightly crushed. The smell is so disgusting. No, I have to hold on. And there is another little brat, How come he is approaching with a torch as a weapon, and waving a silver net in his other hand? Salvatore was sore all over from the approaching firelight and the smell of garlic. He wanted to turn into a bat, but was stopped by the silver net. At the critical moment, Salvatore found that fortunately, in the originally tight space, there was a slight gap in the pretty face. Along with the black smoke, the bats on the ceiling also came over and fled through the gap that Ryan deliberately exposed. Kate did not pursue him, but looked confused. According to the usual routine, Salvatore should be chasing tourists around, along secret passages, or directly transforming into a bat to attack them. In the end, I could only hide in the safe area, shivering in the auditorium. But today was completely different. Instead, he was almost caught. Vampire hunters are mostly made up of half vampires. The other half of these vampires are muggles, and there are almost no wizards' families. Most of them are free love between wizards and vampires. This also leads to the fact that there are no vampire hunters who are too strong to resist. At this time, Salvatore strongly suspected that one of the two kids' ancestors must have been a vampire hunter and still maintained relevant training. Why are they still there now? I just happened to meet him. Salvatore complained in his heart. But these weapons are all enchanted, so it won't hurt at all. Last time, I was a wizard who was a Quidditch beater. Come on, I want to become a vampire star. Salvatore mustered up the courage. I'm worried that tourists will complain later that I didn't have a good time, although the deduction is not much, I still have extra money. Salvatore, how can you think like this? You are not doing it for money. It is a dream. This is fate. Another decisive battle between vampires and vampire hunters. Salvatore encouraged himself. In a dark place the corner has transformed into human form again. After pressing the secret passage switch, Salvatore tiptoed and held his breath. At this time, the bat above Ryan's head lit up again with a red light that was imperceptible to the naked eye. Salvatore, the vampire, was carefully observing everything, preparing to fight again. Ryan, will he not come out? Kate was worried, with a longing expression on her childish face. I've just gone through the hell of preparing for and taking exams, and I'm ready to do something big. Quiet, he's already here. Ryan pretended not to notice, looking innocent. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42: A Helpless Plan. Bats chirped in the dark corner. Ryan, is this vampire coming again? I feel like the interval is getting longer and longer. Kate asked in anticipation of a vampire attack. Vampires have emerged from all imaginable corners many times, but each time they were blocked by the confident Kate. Ryan only showed the power of an ordinary young wizard, but until now, the vampires have still found nothing. Kate noticed that this vampire always tried to drive her to certain locations. It was probably a trap, but Kate always avoided it one by one. Ryan even suspected that Kate had activated the full map trap. Even once, when the vampire transformation plan attacked Ryan, Kate even sneak attacked the vampire. It was a real sneak attack. Even Ryan didn't notice. This girl was really a born murderer. Finally, another 15 minutes passed, and when Kate was getting impatient, Ryan noticed the vampire reappearing, and Ryan began to dub the vampire's actions in a wicked way from the corner, and Ryan turned sideways to block the bat's sudden attack. Kate also pounced and used both hands to catch the little black thing. Ryan did not remind Kate that this was not a vampire, it was just a bat he controlled. It would not be fun if it was exposed necklace, such a cunning vampire. Maybe God gave him a lower than average appearance and opened another window for him in terms of wisdom. You little brat. How can you be ordinary? Why do you have to emphasize this point? Are you kidding me? The vampire stood there, as if he had given up resistance. Was it the annihilation of humanity or the decline of morality? Shut up. The vampire looked happy. By the way, can you read minds? How do you know what I'm thinking? Ryan looked innocent. You obviously said it. Salvatore said excitedly. Yes, Ryan, you were talking to yourself just now, but it was quite interesting. Kate suppressed a smile. Dear guest, do you want to continue? Salvatore took a deep breath and showed a flattering smile for the sake of life and material. Of course I have to continue. I remember that besides you, there are many traps here. Ryan said. But you and this charming lady never ran away, and you never left separately. Salvatore looked helpless. Ryan, she called me Mom. She's also charming. It seems like this vampire is not useless. In addition to being ordinary, vampires aren't all very handsome. Kate danced and was so happy that she accidentally said what was in her heart come out. Salvatore, who claimed to be a vampire, pretended not to hear it and did not want to be tortured again. A plan that he might never use in his career came to his mind. Mr. Lane, Miss Kate, behind this castle is the largest dragon farm in Romania and even the world. You can also observe the dragon ecology up close at the top of the castle. Everyone, how about I serve as a tour guide and lead you to appreciate the rare natural landscape behind this historic castle? Salvatore said with a smile on his face. In the next few hours, the well-dressed vampire, like a gentleman's butler, led Ryan and Kate to explore the traps and secret passages on the first floor one by one. Although they were boring in Ryan's opinion, in Kate's opinion these traps and secret passages formed by mechanical expansion are undoubtedly very authentic. Finally, it's lunchtime. Soft music slowly played, torches were relit in the dark corridors, and the bats disappeared. For some reason, Ryan felt like he was in high school in his previous life when the cafeteria opened for lunch. Although none of them were used, I could only visit the first floor. This castle has 5 floors, and the top floor is the rooftop, where you can see the natural habitat of the Romanian longhorn dragon. If you are lucky, you can even see a dragon. As for why it was good luck, it can only be said that for safety, the castle itself cast a variant of the Muggle repelling curse, the dragon repelling curse. This kind of spell is surprisingly common in Muggle society. Otherwise, why would no Muggle have ever seen a dragon in the city? This also shows the closeness between Muggle and Wizard society. Even the castle of the Malfoys, the so-called purebloods who hate Muggles, is right next to the Muggle road. Kate's nostrils trembled slightly, presumably because she smelled the aroma of lunch. Yes, after the fierce chase, she was probably hungry too. When we came to the auditorium, my dear, what a sumptuous lunch! Cabbage rolls, sausages the size of an adult's finger, meatball sour soup, and even saw beef stew with potatoes, roasted pork knuckles, and the indispensable cornmeal. Mr. Lane, Miss Kate, let me introduce the dishes to you next. Vampire Salvatore bent down. This is a dessert called papanache, a donut covered with jam and yogurt. Salvatore pointed to a pink object that Ryan didn't notice, or should say he was not interested in. Ryan seemed to have no appetite and just complained a little bit about why there was no rice. Doesn't potato and beef brisket go better with rice? Not surprisingly, Kate loved this dessert. The staple food is cornmeal. After Ryan was introduced, I learned that it is called mamalaga and is mixed with yogurt and cream. Oh my god, what a devil's dish, but luckily there's still bread. Ryan was thankful. As for the meatball sour soup, fresh lemon juice is added to it. It's not Ryan's favorite sour flavor soup, but it's surprisingly delicious. Salvatore even brought out a spice called laverga and said this is what it tastes like. The secret to its deliciousness. Next, Salvato introduced the local ways of eating these dishes. The meat filling is cabbage rolls mixed with pork and beef. It is eaten with polenta, which is mamalaga, and mamalaga is eaten. Hadn't introduced its unique way of eating it, with raw onions, bread and plum brandy. It's not salt and pepper, which is unbelievable, and every dish has a strong taste. I guess the chef is the reincarnation of the Salt King, but it's acceptable, and the taste is still good. As for the pork knuckle, I peeled off the skin first. Well, it's not soft enough. It has the texture of roasted pig skin, which I don't like. Salvatore proudly mentioned that he had been preparing for this program, introducing dishes for a long time, but no customer had ever given him the opportunity. There is a slight fear spell solidified on your clothes. Don't you know it yourself? Ryan cursed with a cabbage roll in his mouth. If it weren't for the fact that he was here and the peaceful magic of the Phoenix dispelled this, ordinary wizards would probably have eaten. Don't go down. After a delicious meal, Ryan and Kate started to visit the second floor in Salvatore, hoping it would be more interesting thanks to Weemin Tinteo for the monthly ticket. Chapter 43 Obscurus, Harry Potter. I don't know if anyone has ever raised a fox. Students who have raised foxes probably know that the biggest problem with foxes is not only their lack of family, but also their love of digging holes. The second floor, and even the third floor, were like this, not consistent with architecture almost everywhere, There are trigger-type expansion machines that look like muggles. The bats and spiders hide here during non-game time, and they are surprisingly odorless. They must have cast magic. If it is an ordinary wizard who has lost his wand and accidentally falls into a secret passage or trap, there may be some players. I couldn't get out even for a day. Her body was still full of energy. Ryan's mind couldn't help but feel a little tired. Especially magic. I haven't used magic for nearly a morning, and I have a strange depressing feeling. Out of boredom, Ryan started thinking wildly again. The magic power has the property of being constantly restored. It is close to infinity and is even called an Ouroboros by Smith's alchemy wall. In fact, he has never noticed that Ryan can feel the accumulation of magic power, far more than the average wizard. Accumulation. Murin. Obscurus is the product of a young wizard who excessively suppresses his magical power due to external reasons. A young wizard who is possessed by magic accumulation is also called an obscurus. Maybe it's because most people who don't use magic are worried that they are alien, or their family and friends reject unscientific phenomena, so they actively or passively avoid the use of magic is silent. It is a dark force with the ability to parasitize and encroach. This energy is deliberately presented as a single entity, capable of sudden and devastating bursts. Parasitized little wizards usually do not live past the age of 10. The obscurus is sometimes not visible, and sometimes appears as a black invisible entity or a black oily substance, flying or wreaking havoc in the air like a fluid or cloud, sometimes with red color. Described by some as a taste of black wind and a black mass with gleaming white eyes, the obscurus sometimes takes on the face of an obscurus. The ability of the Death Eaters in the movie to turn into black smoke and fly is probably also derived from this setting, but in this world, the only ones known to have this ability are Voldemort and Snape when Harry was in 7th grade, not a single person. Simple technique. This kind of power exerted by oppression can be regarded as another way to break away from the wizard's thoughts. The obscurus and the obscurus themselves are two the sides of the same coin. Obscurus can even be said to be another magical creature. The size and power of the obscurus depends on the inner strength of its host. The more powerful the obscurus magic is, the more powerful their obscurus becomes. Obscurus will slowly calm down and gradually return to its original state because of meeting someone trustworthy. Emotional changes can cause the obscurus and the obscurus to shift back and forth. When an obscurial dies, the obscurus usually disappears with it. No. Newt Scamander separated the obscurus after Credence Barebone's death and preserved it in a magical energy field. Ryan suddenly thought of this. Dumbledore doesn't understand obscurus? Harry's growth has always been in Dumbledore's eyes. Ryan suddenly realized. Ryan let go of his brain, and part of his thinking turned into the ordinary little wizard Ryan, an adventurer. He played with Kate in the castle, and his deeper thinking began to think in conjunction with the original work. Harry's aunt and uncle are the kind of people who hate magic. They don't have no feelings for Harry, but they want to drive the magic out of Harry through all kinds of cold violence. When Harry received the letter, Harry's uncle Vernon, for the first time, seemed strongly to keep Harry away from magic, even though the mailbox exploded and the whole house was surrounded by owls, which Shivan found an isolated island and went there during a thunderstorm, and even killed Dudley because of it. Dudley was the little bully in the family even under 11 years of constant oppression. Obscurial. This may be due to the power of Harry's mother Lily Evans' love spell, which prevented the negative obscurus from taking shape. However, the accumulated magic power will not disappear out of thin air. It is estimated that it has greatly improved Harry's magical potential, resulting in many subsequent. Although his magical skills were far inferior to those of Voldemort, he was not at a disadvantage. And Newt is Dumbledore's favorite disciple, the existence that makes Grindelwald jealous. How come the preserved obscurus will not be studied by Dumbledore? You must know that the host of this obscurus is himself suspected to be Dumbledore. Blood related to Credence Barebone and Harry's neighbor, Mrs. Fig, is herself a squib and Dumbledore's spy. It turns out that Dumbledore did not fail to give Harry power. This kind of normality can cultivate obscurus training, which not only brings great improvement in mind, but also in potential. Harry's ability to summon a physical patronus in his 3rd year is proof of this. It was only after I traveled through time that I discovered that Dumbledore meant Bumblebee in ancient English, and he loved sweets. This old bee is a bad old man. The more Ryan gets to know him, the more he discovers how cunning Dumbledore is. How could Voldemort, who has lost his mind, not be defeated? In terms of strength alone, Voldemort is actually no match for Dumbledore, but Voldemort has a higher with a high error tolerance, He cannot be killed with a Horcrux. If Dumbledore were younger, or had made a Horcrux, Voldemort wouldn't be involved. Or when there were so many damned people in Azkaban, making Horcruxes was Dumbledore's backup plan when he couldn't see any hope of victory. Voldemort is like a mouse on a sticky board. As long as Dumbledore lets go of his ethics, even if he doesn't know the location of Voldemort's Horcruxes, after Voldemort is resurrected in Harry's 4th year, it is estimated that in less than a year, he can beat Voldemort into something worse than a ghost status. In the original book, Dumbledore died generously. It is very likely that he no longer saw the hope of Voldemort's victory. The greatest white wizard is far from that simple. Chapter 44 Neville, the boy who survived many disasters. After shaking his head, Ryan returned to his original thinking mode without anyone noticing. Although Ryan was thinking about other things before, on the other hand, he still followed Kate to browse the castle. The switch in memory and thinking mode did not have any impact or difference. At this time, Ryan and his team arrived at the 4th floor plan. It should be a place that tourists will only come into contact with the next day. The designer probably knows the Muggle world very well. The entire floor is full of various seemingly natural climbable rock walls. At first glance, they all appear to be towering rock walls boldly, and you will not be injured even if you fail, because the protective spell is cast on it on the ground. Mr. Lane, Miss Kate, if you are in a hurry to go up to the 5th floor, there is a 2-meter-high rock wall on our left in the corner. The focus is also very simple. Salvatore introduced immediately. Kate didn't have any special expectations for watching the dragon. For this 4th level, which was not supposed to be authentic, Kate liked it very much. Salvatore, who saw that Kate was very interested in this place, clapped his hands, and a bar appeared out of thin air on the ground in the center. It was filled with all kinds of drinks. In addition to tea and water, other items were charged extra. Both gold galleons and Muggle currency were accepted, and Ryan secretly rolled his eyes. At the same time, Salvatore also wisely went to the 3rd floor to rest in his coffin, leaving the two of them alone space. When I left, I emphasized again that I would like to remind you that if the currency is placed on the bar, the drinks with corresponding prices will automatically light up. Just pick them up and the change will be refunded. Ryan doubted that this guy had a commission to take. Ryan had never been exposed to rock climbing in his previous life. Natural rock climbing was fatal, while artificial rock climbing cost money. Ryan, a student party member, didn't have the opportunity or energy to play this game, but now the opportunity has come. Without the light bulb, Ryan still only maintains a normal human-level physique, which is more fun. Woohoo! Kate made a joyful sound after climbing up the rock wall for about 10 meters and jumping off with a backflip. It seems that this floor is not just for rock climbing. Jumping from a high place seems to be a part of entertainment. However, it seems understandable why the bar should be built in the center to avoid falling on it when jumping, and jumping like a flexible monkey. Ryan couldn't hold back his curiosity and started rock climbing on the steep rock wall. Ryan kept changing his posture. What he was challenging at this time was the 100-meter-high rock wall on the right. Looking down, Kate, who was tired from playing and drinking water, saw with normal vision that it was just a black dot. Ryan, who had climbed nearly 10 meters again, could no longer see below. He was surrounded by white clouds, and his hands felt moist to the touch. Ryan found it a bit boring. He had already escaped gravity and didn't think the scenery were so strange. Although this cloud layer was also made by magic, people could not stop, just like normal cloud layers. Ryan continued to go up, and finally reached the top. Above his head, a door slowly appeared from the air. Ryan pushed it open, and it was the 5th and final floor. Ryan closed the wooden door, let go of his hand, and fell down in a lying position. Quagmire from my back, as if I had been lying on the ground from the beginning, and it seemed like I had just jumped from a high altitude. If Neville jumped here, would he awaken his magical ability in advance and not be regarded as a squib by his family? This interesting idea suddenly appeared in Ryan's mind. His uncle Augie had done this many times, such as pushing Neville off the dock at Black Lake and nearly drowning him. It would probably take a few more months. It's already July. Neville's birthday is July 7th, one day earlier than Harry and I. In fact, soon after Neville was born, he could use magic to wrap himself in a blanket more tightly. However, no one saw the unusual magic display and talent of young Neville, and the midwife only thought it was Neville's father. In addition, Neville's parents were tortured crazy by 4 Death Eaters using the Cruciatus curse. Neville grew up under the severe punishment of his grandmother, Mrs. Longbottom. Since the time Neville was a child, he required his poor grandson to deal with these crazy people. Parents are proud and must think that their parents did not sacrifice their health and sanity just so that their only son would be ashamed of them. Neville has an even lower self-esteem than Harry, and his grandmother told him many times in person that he was a good boy, but not as talented as his father. Neville is also considered the boy who lived, but only at the hands of his family. Neville was 8 years old. His uncle Augie came over for tea. He even hung Neville by his ankles from the upstairs window. After he accepted a piece of egg white cake from Neville's Aunt Annie, I missed it and didn't hold it firmly. Then Neville bounced up on his own, flying across the garden and crashing onto the road. I'm really speechless, and I can see that the so-called purebloods value magic. Although physical injuries are easy to treat for wizards, this is why crazy sports like Quidditch are born. However, when Neville turned 8, the persecution of his life ended. Ryan sighed and walked to the bar. Kate's little face was still flushed with excitement. After a cup of black tea, they started talking again. "Kate, when did you discover your magic talent?" Ryan asked curiously. "I guess I was 5 years old. I cut my dad's beard in front of him and he didn't notice." Kate thought with a frown. "Humph, I did that in front of him. He cut it openly while he was eating." Kate emphasized with a blush on her face. It seems that this is something that Kate is proud of. She is indeed a born assassin, and since she knows how to hunt vampires, she must not be a clan that specializes in hunting vampires. Half vampires can do that, although it's cool. Our family is a wizard. Why do we have to do something? A wizard can live alone. Kate wondered. Ryan couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. Wizards were different from muggles. They didn't necessarily have to do anything to live. They could rely on magic to provide food, clothing, housing, and transportation. It was no wonder that the Ministry of Magic had no sense of existence. A wizarding family that stabilizes a profession is considered a remarkable presence in the magic world, such as Ollivander. Time flies and before you know it, it's dinner time. Chapter 45 Raising Dragons for Fun and Profit. With the sound of soft music, it's dinner time. The music tonight is very atmospheric, composed of a holy and ethereal female voice. Kate, who was sweating profusely, first went to the bathroom in the lounge behind the auditorium on the first floor. Today's dinner is still the familiar beef and potato stew, with tripe soup, roasted stuffed pumpkin, and roasted lamb with polenta. Kate finally met her match. The tripe soup was made from tripe with a lot of garlic and sour cream and hot chili peppers. It was so spicy that she couldn't help but drink several cups of black tea. As for roasted stuffed squash, similar to stuffed squash, it's a baking dish stuffed with beef or turkey, rice, onions, herbs and spices, and slathered with sour cream. The roasted lamb with polenta can only be said to be very salty, and it can be said to be kimchi made from lamb. After strong request, Ryan finally ate rice in the evening. In addition, Romanian food itself is very suitable for Eastern people's appetite. It is heavy and similar to Jianghu food, which goes well with rice. After feasting, Ryan and Kate headed to the lounge at the back of the auditorium, exuding charm the next day and losing her virginity. Accompanied by Kate's breathing, the next day arrived before she knew it. The next day is a sunny day, because today's plan is to go to the 5th floor to enjoy the scenery, and at 6 o'clock tonight, the transportation to pick up Ryan and the others will land on the roof of the castle, so the original version of the weather spell on the roof is cancelled for now. As a vampire, Salvatore couldn't see the light easily, so he sent Ryan and the others upstairs as gifts on the 4th floor, and then returned to the 3rd floor to start a new creation. In the center of the roof of the castle is a large parasol, which is filled with food. Today's meals are all taken care of on the roof. The bathroom and lounge are located on the right side of the 5th floor. Dinner is provided by means of transportation in the evening. Solved. What's opposite is not the ocean, but a sea of trees, and from time to time, the deep roar of a dragon can be heard from afar. There is also a panoramic telescope on the table, which is similar to the one sold in the 4th Quidditch World Cup. It can replay the picture and play it in slow motion. This sea of trees is not considered a dragon's habitat. After all, the adult Romanian longhorns is 40 feet long, about 12 meters long. The existence of the woods is an obstacle for them. The Romanian Ministry of Magic specially used magic to build a strange underground protected area under this sea of trees, just like the Great Void Forest in the anime Bleach, but not all dragons are underground. Far away from the sea of trees, there is a canyon, which is the exit of the underground protected area and the source of sunlight. In this canyon, which cannot be observed by muggles, there are many cattle and sheep for dragons to hunt. After learning all this, Kate was speechless and said, "Are we just here observing the giant dragon that may come out of the canyon?" No, after all, this service is not included in the service we purchased, it is free. And this way, the vampire can find an excuse to rest. Ryan said lightly. This guy, I want to go downstairs, forget it, I'll just go to the 4th floor to play later. Kate stood up suddenly and then sat down. Ryan took out a book called Dragon Raising for Pleasure and Profit from his pocket, which Hagrid called a bit outdated, and read it with Kate. "Kate, did you find anything after reading it?" Ryan asked. "Dragons make a lot of money." Kate was startled by the sudden question. She hardly read any books, but just focused on this little kid. "Well, I can't say it's wrong. Kate, have you noticed? It can be seen from this book that raising dragons was actually a very common thing before the Thing 1709 Wizards Conference officially passed the bill banning dragon raising." Ryan reminded. "Yes, and dragon skin, dragon blood, etc. will start to become more expensive later on." Kate suddenly thought. Yes, for wizards at that time, raising dragons was like raising cows and sheep for muggles. Although wizards don't need money, some magic materials and props still require currency. Occasionally remove a small piece of skin and blood, it won't do any harm to the dragon. "And Kate, have you noticed that wizards can no longer live without dragons?" Ryan emphasized. "Yes, magic potions, clothes, and wands all use dragons." Kate jumped up and replied. "The Ministry of Magic, and some large dragon-raising groups will not allow powerful and useful creatures like dragons to be raised by private individuals, even though private dragon raising has become a system at that time and is no longer dangerous. Dragon is also a powerful being that looks after homes and homes. Every wizard has a dragon at home. How will the Ministry of Magic manage ordinary wizards?" "So," Ryan prompted. "So raising dragons for recreation and profit is out of date, and private individuals are no longer allowed to raise dragons," Kate said following Ryan's words. "Furthermore, Kate, have you noticed that the International Statute of Secrecy, also known as the International Statute of Secrecy, is a law signed by the wizarding world in 1689 and officially established in 1692. This law was established by the International Federation of Wizards. We will make plans to protect the entire magical world from being discovered by muggles." "Could it be?" Kate exclaimed. "Yes. That's right. Dragons are too big of a creature. Raising dragons privately is also a risk. Find that the map of the muggle world is so small. That is because there are many areas that cannot be plotted on the map and cannot be discovered," Ryan concluded. "Why does the confidentiality law exist?" Kate wondered. "Do you know Gryffindor's most famous ghost? Nearly Headless Nick." Kate replied. Beginning in the 15th century, the persecution of witches and wizards began throughout Europe. Many witches and wizards were imprisoned and sentenced to death for engaging in witchcraft activities. For example, Nearly Headless Nick lost his wand and was unable to escape, so he was eventually executed. Wizarding families are particularly vulnerable to losing their children, because young wizards cannot yet control their magic, which often arouses the anger of muggles who hunt wizards. Pay attention and be powerless to resist," Ryan said seriously. "Even now, after the Protection Act has been in effect for many years, Dumbledore's sister is being persecuted by muggles and is unable to resist. It seems that the protection law is really necessary." Kate sighed. On the side, Ryan secretly thought that the protection law had long been outdated and should be changed. The Information Society was not far away thanks to Gloston and Weemin Tingteo for their monthly tickets. Chapter 46 Unreceived Letter. Kate continued to read for a while, and since no dragon appeared, she went to the 4th floor and started dancing. Ryan spread his legs carelessly, put his elbows on both knees, crossed his hands, rested his chin on them, and continued to think about the previous topic in a classic posture of gliding through the storm. The wizarding world was actually heading in the wrong direction. At that time, the people were not enlightened, and wizards should go to higher-level channels. Like the fat monk of Hufflepuff, who almost became the Pope. Even the famously muggle-hating Malfoy did better than most wizards. The wealthy and influential Malfoy family at the time strongly opposed the implementation of the Protection Act. Although Malfoys believe that wizards have a higher status than muggles, members of the Malfoy family value money and social influence more. With these, muggles are also noble. William the Conqueror and Queen Elizabeth I are obvious examples, and aristocrats, and this has in part helped them to plunder large amounts of Muggle treasures and works of art. The protection law is more like a one-size-fits-all approach and does not take into account the differences between countries and the status of wizards. At that time, Malfoy could completely rely on his influence to merge wizards and Muggles into one. As long as he brought in people's wisdom and controlled education, there would be no problem. Then, except for some wizards with money and social status, other wizards stayed away from the busy city. Wizards also began to use confusion spells to live in groups in some small villages and form their own small societies. There are wizarding families living in Dingworth in Cornwall, Upper Flagley in Yorkshire, the village of Ottery St. Catchpole in Devon, and Godric's Hollow in southwest England. Settlements, like the village of Dingworth in Cornwall, Fleur and Bill's Shell Hut is on the seaside on the outskirts of the village. The most common magical creatures here are elves. For example, Lockhart once captured a batch of creatures as teaching aids for the defense against the dark arts class. Although these creatures could be solved with a spell, they still caused chaos in the classroom. In the history of wizards, Dyfna-Fumage was kidnapped by a large group of elves while on holiday in Cornwall in the 17th century. As a result, she spent the rest of her life trying to persuade the Ministry of Magic to humanely eliminate all elves. This also made her famous and was recorded in the History of Magic. Ridiculous History of Magic. Thinking of the history of magic, Ryan couldn't help but be ignited with anger for no reason. If Harry were a woman, Snape's attitude would be completely different. But don't forget, Harry is exactly the same as his father, James Potter. Even if he is a woman, he is still a gender-transformed version of James. Snape just wanted to wash his eyes or simply kill Harry. Ron is a good choice for sexual transformation, but Harry Potter will probably become a harem novel. Harry's bad childhood may also be related to the fact that his father looked almost exactly the same. Harry's father had met the Vernons and left a very bad impression on him. In the eyes of his aunt, Harry's father was responsible for his death. His own sister's murderer. The appearance of the young wizard can also be modified through blessings. Like Voldemort's mother, although she lacks self-confidence, she was born with strong magical potential, and on her deathbed, she gave the child her final blessing. In the end, Voldemort and his Muggle father Tom Dell looked the same. How could this unfilial son transform with magic and take away his mother's blessing? The building was crooked. Ryan stroked his forehead, feeling speechless for his unbridled ideas. But if I want to, I can invent a sex-changing potion or spell. Ryan took a sip of tea and stopped the last evil thought. Speaking of which, Ryan originally thought that he would encounter evil vampires who raised blood slaves in the name of work. In the end, he completed the journey with Ryan's bravery and Kate's screams. But it was completely different from the plan. At the moment when Kate fought with a vampire yesterday, Ryan took the time to scan the entire castle and the vampire's bedroom. There was nothing but a few bloody lollipops, ink, and manuscript letters. Even the plot of the wizard who stole the dragon egg and caused the dragons to fly did not appear. It was just an ordinary and normal journey. It cannot be said that it was not fun, but Ryan was a little doubtful at this time whether he was the protagonist. Speaking of letters, Prunello's letter has not been received for 2 days. This has nothing to do with the fact that Kate and I don't have corresponding addresses. Owls have a natural affinity for magic and can still find the container, even if the letter has no address. Those who do not wish to receive letters must use a repelling charm, a disguise charm, or a shielding charm to prevent the owl from finding them. According to Ryan's investigation, the owl's magical affinity comes from another great power, Athena, a long-dead wizard known as God. In addition, the appearance of the owl itself is very suitable for the wizard's aesthetics. Even though the protector has died, this blessing is still strengthening to this day. A negative example is pigs, which have nothing to do with magic. Although genetically speaking, pig organs are the closest to human ones. There has even been speculation that gene-edited organs can even be transplanted into humans. However, due to his poor appearance, he was rejected by magic's self-will. It also carries the general aesthetics of wizards. This is why Ryan uses pigs as experimental materials. Pig skins can even be used as dragon skins after special magic rituals. As for why Sirius in the third part was not caught because of the owl, it is because the owl's ability does not belong entirely to itself and cannot be used for malicious purposes. If you rely on the owl to catch criminals, you will suddenly find that this talent will in case of sudden malfunction. Of course, it is okay to send a letter with a small curse or a shouting letter. This is similar to the principle that normal house elves cannot harm wizards. Of course, since house elves themselves have magical abilities, they are not completely restricted by this. Just like Dobby's well-intentioned murder, and the legion of house elves behind it. The Smith family has a natural shielding spell that is similar to Curse. Although Ryan has some mutations, the tower in the canyon not far from Smith Castle that is specially designed to receive owl letters is still in operation, which has shown that this ability still exists. Letters. The tower itself is an alchemical item made to compensate for the inability to accept. Owls can find this place through the surname Smith. If Ryan's talent similar to the shielding spell disappeared, this tower would have been ineffective long ago. In fact, Kate's stealth talent is very similar to that of a normal Smith. As long as Kate concentrates on hiding herself, she will not be easily discovered by others. It is an active skill. The Smiths, on the other hand, are naturally passive and cannot even receive letters. Even invisible things like curses can hardly touch the Smiths, and the same goes for blessings. But Kate is by Ryan's side, and even Ryan has recently temporarily transferred the concept of his name from the tower to Kate. Just when he was rubbing her belly, it was strange that the letter was long overdue. Thanks to Taishi Yumeksu for the monthly ticket. Chapter 47. The Journey in the Dragon's Belly. Ryan felt that he was a bit cheap now. He usually hated receiving letters because he thought they were too many. However, after only 2 days, he began to think that he might have been tricked by Pinello. Just like Percy in the original novel, during the summer vacation when they originally fell in love, he wrote letters every day and even bought a special owl, without fear of being exposed at all. But why is Kate not surprised at all? Doesn't have the best relationship with Pinello. Came up from the 4th floor after taking a shower. Seeing Ryan's expression, she said something that shocked Ryan. Ryan, are you wondering why Pinello hasn't written yet? You are? No, you are thinking about it. Ryan, who was still in his mortal mind, suddenly bit back. Humph, just think of it as me. Have you forgotten that Pinello went on a family trip to France, in the form of a muggle? Ears, muggles? Can Pinello still travel with his family through magic? Ryan raised his eyes. Ryan, you are very strange. By the way, Pinello should be in France today. Kate replied unnaturally. Although Ryan felt a little strange, he didn't feel any danger intuitively, so he didn't continue to say anything. But the next lunch was the same as last night, no change. The only thing was the addition of meatball sour soup, a kind of meatballs made of beef and rice. You probably know that I like rice, but the beef and rice, the meatballs themselves are weird. Plus the sour soup is flavored with lemon juice. I didn't hate it yesterday because the spices were rare, and it was the first time my taste buds encountered it. But not so good today. Eyebrows. I saw a black spot approaching in the already dim sky. Ryan, it must be a new means of transportation. Is it a dragon? Hey, Kate, don't you like dragons? It's not considered hunger marketing. Ryan sneered. However, Kate guessed correctly. It was a dragon. A Romanian longhorn dragon with 2 shiny golden horns and black and green scales. However, upon closer inspection, it turns out that it is just a dragon-like aircraft. Unlike the harsh legal regulations in the UK, Romania not only allows the use of broom-shaped flying props. In addition to the popular flying carpets, even motorcycles have the same appearance as Muggle aircraft. Aircraft are also not uncommon. In this case, this dragon is not surprising, it is. Are all the protection spells gone? Ryan discovered that there was no spell like the night bus, and Muggles could clearly see this behemoth. Accompanied by a strong wind, the giant dragon stopped behind the castle, introducing the terrifying journey. After the wizard respectfully confirmed that we had packed our luggage, he moved for us to enter the body of the aircraft. Ryan, how cool. I finally see a dragon. Although it's not real, I can still enter the dragon's body. Go. Kate said like a wild horse running wild. It's really interesting. Ryan doubts the intention of creating a vehicle like this. First, there were constant reminders along the way, introducing the Romanian longhorn dragon and the service to watch it, and also emphasized that it was free. The expectations were high. Later, when I was sulking because I couldn't see the dragon, I suddenly had a vivid flying prop in the shape of a Romanian longhorn dragon as a means of transportation. What is this? Extreme pulling. So, the vampire Salvatore let us stay here for a day, not to escape, but to raise our expectations. I have to say, it is really realistic. The entrances, the dragon's teeth and tongue, they're all lifelike, and walking on it feels sticky, like walking on dragon saliva, very hellish. You can even feel the breathing sound of the dragon, this flying prop. When we got to the skull, which is the junction between the throat and the head, there was a long, dark tube going down. There was no sound at all inside, and Kate's voice that should have come through also disappeared. The sound insulation was very good. The thin wizard also came over and bowed slightly to salute. Mr. Lane, the cab is at the head, and the belly is where you and Miss Kate will rest. It will probably be until tomorrow morning. There will also be a music reminder then. The thin wizard took out his wand and taped a small tongue in his throat. A passage opens above the dragon's mouth. After watching the thin wizard disappear into the dragon's mouth, Ryan also jumped down. This was a very long slide, and you could tell it was enchanted just from the body. Ages in the original direction of the world, during the final battle at Hogwarts, Hermione used this spell to help herself, Harry and Ron slide down quickly and escape the pursuit of the Death Eaters. The neck of this flying machine dragon is not very long, and there are not so many twists and turns. Logically speaking, it should have reached its belly long ago. But Ryan kept sliding down for about a minute before the darkness in front of him slowly disappeared. Oh, this is a slide in the dragon's mouth. What you come into view is a flesh-colored ground that gives a soft texture. This room is larger than the previous carriage, and the decoration is very anti-human. The simulated blood vessels bulge on the walls, so if they have actually come into the body of the dragon. Ryan, come here quickly. Kate sat on the sofa similar to the top of the heart, with food in front of her. There was a menu on the side, introducing the dishes on the table: braised dragon meat, blanched dragon tendons, black pepper steak dragon, and curry dragon hind leg meat. Eating dragon meat in the dragon's belly, the original soup becomes the original food. These dragon meats have been treated with magic to make them poisonous. It is a specialty of the Romanian wizarding community that sitting on the sofa is just like a normal sofa, and there is a one-way transparent window next to it to see the fleeting scenery. It has obviously been taken off, but it still feels like it's on the ground inside. Even this decoration became more and more pleasing to the eye, making Ryan have to wonder if his aesthetics had been wrapped. Just like when I was chasing Kamen Rider X8 in my previous life, it seemed like rubbish at first, but it turned out to be really good later on. Dragon meat tastes like chicken when eaten. It is said that chickens are originally degenerated from dinosaurs. 3 times 5 divided by 2, chickens are also considered dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are considered dragons, so isn't this just like eating chicken? But it's closer to turkey and has a rougher texture. No wonder dragon meat has not become popular in other countries. Although dragon meat is regulated, if it is really delicious, why can't it be eaten in other places? Chapter 48 Patronus Curse. After a simple meal, Ryan lay down on the sofa board and closed his eyes to rest. After eating, it is really pleasant to think about nothing. Ryan, what's the next stop? Kate asked curiously, putting aside the comic strip. The next stop is the zombie trail. Ryan reminded, and expressed his incomprehension. Kate, you are not very interested in horror tours. Logically speaking, you should know about it. What fun is there? Kate said speechlessly. Kate is not interested in the living dead, zombies, and ghouls other than vampires. Zombies are so disgusting. They are different from vampires. They have gray skin and a rotten smell. It can be said to be similar to the inferi. Kate's face was full of boredom. She probably just hoped that her next destination would not be here. Kate, don't you like Wakatu very much? You must know that zombies are from Africa. Ryan reminded, that's not true. Zombies only exist in the southern part of America, not Africa. Did you remember correctly? Kate rolled her eyes. I once read a travelogue about a traveler who always wore a turban. His turban was a gift given to him by an African prince to thank him for helping him get rid of the zombies. Lane explained. Kate. Ryan cursed, but his expression remained unchanged. A calm look. Humph. Kate suddenly became happy for some reason. Yeah, let teacher Kate introduces zombies to you. The place with the most zombies is exactly Haiti, which is related to the wizards of voodoo. Like the basilisk, it is a magical creature made by wizards. It is used as a cully locally, even regarded as a fashion, and the inferi is its enhanced version. Unlike the inferi, there is no need to commit murder and can be done while it is hot. As long as it is a long-lasting cemetery, it can be awakened through the unique local magic and serve the wizard again. Like vampires, they are afraid of sunlight and will be harmed by fire. Although I don't know about zombies, a blazing flame is definitely better than a patron saint spell. But isn't a patroness cooler? Kate crossed her arms and turned away. Bats that cannot be dealt with by ordinary magic. It can also demonstrate the qualities of a wizard. Ryan reminded. Yes, I know this. Unjust wizards cannot use this kind of magic. For example, the dark wizard Ratchetian, when he tried to use the patroness charm, he backfired and turned into maggots to devour himself. This is why wizards who can physically summon patron saints are often elected as high-level officials of the Wizengamot and the Ministry of Magic. Kate answered quickly. That's not the case. It's actually a fallacy. Many people with negative personality traits, such as bad temper, arrogance, etc., can also summon mature patrons. A wizard's personality is two-sided. Even the worst person can have soft and happy memories, or simply be happy because of doing bad things. They don't think they are despicable and shameless, but they are noble and noble wizards, and they can also use it. Those wizards who summon maggots are worse than killed by themselves. They can deeply realize that they are shameless, evil, and do not have enough happy memories. If they have advanced occlumency, dark wizards can also do it. Use the patroness charm, Ryan explained. What does this have to do with occlumency? Kate actually knew this too. As expected of a Ravenclaw, a muddling fool like Harry Ron, a Gryffindor who didn't read extracurricular books all day long, didn't even know about this magic in the 5th grade. After simply complaining in his heart, Ryan then explained, occlumency is a magical magic that can block unnecessary emotions and seal off one's own brain. Those self-destructive and dark emotions can be discarded by skilled wizards and explore their positive side emotions, thereby releasing the patroness. Just like Snape in the original work, the only Death Eater who can use the patroness curse in the original work, but it should be more of his love for Lily. But if Lucius Malfoy knew this magic, he might be able to use it without summoning maggots. No dark wizard would dare to try, which in itself would be equivalent to suicide. Like Dolores Umbridge, she was able to transform into a cat-like patroness. This pink toad's ability to be elected as a high-ranking official probably has something to do with the patroness charm. This spell is like a valuable certificate, but it is understandable that most of the people who can use it are good wizards. Ah! How is it possible? How can bad guys use such a cool spell? Kate said angrily. I want to be like the invincible Andros, who can use it without a staff and even summon giant-sized ones. Ryan, you're not cool when you say that. Kate puffed up her face. Kate, you have to listen to the key points. To meet the conditions I mentioned, you must either have superb occlumency, be so psychopathic that you can hypnotize yourself, or just be a bad person on the surface. I'm just saying that this is too outrageous as a condition for selecting senior officials and the Wizengamot. Ryan took Kate's little hand and explained. Okay. Kate lay on Ryan's lap boredly, then picked up the comic next to her and started reading. Ryan also watched it curiously. How can I put it? It is not as good as The Adventures of Mad Muggle Martin Miggs, which tells the story of a little wizard who dropped out of school and traveled around the world. Ryan doubted whether George and Fred had also read this album, otherwise they would have dropped out of school so early. Although there is also a reason why Umbridge the Toad acted as a monster, judging from the behavior of George and Fred, it is probably premeditated. This album may even have been written by Newt Scamander to commemorate his unsuccessful Hogwarts career and exciting travels around the world. He was classified as undesirable and dangerous person by multiple Ministry of Magic. But what is very boring is that the author is an unknown person who does not appear in the original work. Oh, it's so boring. It would be great if I could travel on the back of a dragon. Ryan cursed, watching this somewhat boring story with Kate. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49 Classification of Spells. The scenery outside the window flew by, and it could be seen that it was already late at night. I don't know if it's because of the dragon meat, but Ryan and Kate are still very energetic. Aha, was this plot intentional by the author, or did he not understand it? A strange storyline made Ryan smile. Is something wrong? Kate rubbed her eyes without yawning. The wording is wrong. The horn curse should be hex, poison curse, or the general term spell, not jinx, evil curse. Ryan reminded. Isn't it just a difference in name? They are all spells. I think they should all be called spell. Kate said indignantly. Kate, there is a reason for the difference in names. Ryan secretly agreed with Kate's point of view. After all, the classification of his own panel was the same, except that transfiguration was separated out separately, although in his eyes they were all spells. However, if there is no plugin, if you want to go further, you should still follow the ordinary wizard's approach. Kate, these names are different, which also represent their risk. Principle, if you look at the function alone, it can be divided into defense, offense, and treatment. But this is inaccurate. To be precise, there are 7 types of spells. Transfiguration changes the shape or appearance of the object cast, such as Avis flocks of birds. Charm is a spell that changes the intrinsic properties of the object being cast, causing abnormal physical changes to the object. This is why Professor Flitwick is called Charm Teacher, teaching spells instead of Spell Teacher. Ryan paused briefly. Now it happened that there were only Kate and Ryan around, and there were no magic props for monitoring under the Phoenix and magic vision, so it was much more comfortable to speak directly. Jinx literally means bad luck, a mild form of dark magic that causes inconvenience but is more like a joke. You should know that among the spells that are classified as defensive spells, obstacles is also included. This spell can slow down the action or phenomenon that the wand is pointing at. Hex literally means hex, which makes a person always in a negative state, closer to black magic. The Bat Curse and the Horn Curse are both hexes. Curse. Black magic directly means curse, which is used to refer to black magic. It will cause great harm to the cursed person, such as unbearable pain, insanity, or even death. I don't need to tell you which ones. The remaining 2 are Counter Spell, which blocks another spell, and Healing Spell, which improves the condition of the target. Ryan slowly explained all the categories one by one. I wouldn't know these categories if I hadn't traveled through time. In my previous life, I had only read the Chinese version. I only knew these details after reading the English version and even being a native speaker. By the way, what does the defense against black magic mainly involve? Ryan asked. Charm, Jinx, and Hex. Kate frowned and responded reluctantly. 10 points for Ravenclaw. Ryan asked immediately. Fun. Kate frowned. That's because it makes the little wizard more intuitively aware of the dangers of spells. Black magic and white magic alone are stupid things that only Gryffindor can say. What about Hufflepuff? Kate asked puzzledly. Apologized to Hufflepuff. You know, Mr. Ryan, when I played mobile games before time traveling, I also chose Hufflepuff. Oh, said Ryan, who suppressed his anger and said, they dare to talk nonsense about gossip, but they generally don't have the courage to talk nonsense about magical knowledge they don't understand. Hannah, the badger who went around telling her classmates in the 3rd grade that Sirius entered Hogwarts by transforming into an orchid, has something to say. However, Sirius did transform into Hogwarts, but not as an orchid but as a dog. Ryan stopped his racing thoughts and rubbed his temples. But maybe you will be involved in curse, black magic, in the future. Ryan said with a malicious look. How is that possible? Kate looked unbelieving angry. Human thinking is prone to mistakes. Although more of Ryan's thoughts are operating all the time, guarding against all possible threats, for the sake of mental progress and daily fun, a small part of his thinking still maintains the normal 3 views and thoughts of his previous life. This also resulted in that, in addition to combat, defense, spellcasting, and verbal confrontations, there would still be small mistakes that could be called intentional black and green scales, giving it a metallic texture, and 2 large golden horns on the sink mirror. They are all elements of the Romanian longhorn dragon. There is not a complete dragon shape, but every place is filled with a feeling that you will associate with this kind of dragon as soon as you see it. This kind of crazy decoration design can only be designed by wizards. Their designs and clothing are like this because they are isolated from muggles. Even the clothes in Hogwarts didn't look like suits at first, but maybe it was progress, and muggle elements gradually invaded Hogwarts. This is why Ron wears sneakers and Fudge wears a dark green suit under his pinstriped robe. However, some older wizards still maintain a pure wizarding style, so they can't tell the difference between muggle pajamas and men's and women's pants. There were even wizards wearing pleated skirts mixed with South American capes. However, these are only a minority. Muggle elements, games and styles are slowly invading the wizarding world, and the wizarding world is also slowly making progress. The new generation of little wizards will also bring more creativity and vitality. As you can imagine, going to Hogwarts used to be a carriage or a portkey. It was not until 1827 that Italian Gamble, who took office as Minister of Magic, overcame the public opinion and used the Ministry of Magic to use 167 Oblivion Curses and the largest concealment spell in British history. The Hogwarts Express was acquired from Muggle engineers in Crewe, Cheshire, England. It only took one night, and even the wizards of Hogsmeade woke up the next day to marvel at the sudden appearance of the train station. This powerful Minister of Magic even said that you should not go to Hogwarts without taking the train, which made some stubborn purebloods stop saying unsafe, unhygienic, and derogatory and other words important. I hope the Ministry of Magic will give me money in this way. Arthur Weasley's choice can be regarded as far-sighted. He saw the potential of Muggles and made a bet, but it was more out of hobby thanks to classmate Jay-Z for the reward, monthly ticket, and 3 recommendations, as well as classmate Shitow and classmate 130,527,185,704,030 for the monthly ticket. I will update twice today. Chapter 50 Goal. Slowly and comfortably soaking in the bath, Ryan finally soaked in the water for the first time in a long time, instead of the carriage and the shower in the castle. Being a wizard is really great. If Ryan was a wizard in his previous life, he would definitely live in isolation. At most, he would just use the Wi-Fi, and everything else could be done with magic. It's great to be a smith. All of his ancestors were very crisis conscious. As a result, Ryan can hardly find a place to spend money now. He can produce everything at home, so what else does he need, like a bicycle? The negative example among wizards is people like Weasley. As a wizard, you are still poor, and many expenses are actually unnecessary. Poor wizards like the Wheel Eyes are just too optimistic. The production of clothes, planting and breeding magical creatures is very lacking, let alone the almighty alchemy. This course does not exist in the UK. In addition, the wizard's energy is also limited, so he cannot take care of all aspects and make clothes. Breeding? Just buy it from other wizards. Then, a monopoly was formed, and the gold galleons also gained value. As for using transfiguration to create clothes, it is a method that can only be solved by Muggles. Wizards who are skilled or familiar with transfiguration can see that. This is why Ron was worried about the ugly dress in 4th grade, but only used the spell cutting removes the lace from the purple dress. Even Molly Weasley, a witch who is good at cooking and household magic, is lacking in clothing production, but she is surprisingly strong in combat, killing Bellatrix Lestrange one-on-one. This powerful Death Eater Hogwarts should also set up a class for female workers. Herbology and magical creatures classes should not simply introduce magical animals and plants. How to use magic to conveniently plant and raise them is the most important thing. Magic should be able to do everything, so that galleons can be saved to buy other things, alchemy products and the like. In short, other wizards do not have the same sense of urgency as Smith and cannot be completely self-sufficient. Wizards are so versatile. For example, the Daydream spell developed by the Weasley twins, and paired with props, as long as you recite this spell, you can enter a high-quality, ultra-realistic, 30-minute daydream. The side effects are only his expression was dull and he drooled slightly. Any kind of dream will do, let alone the indescribable. No wonder it is not sold to teenagers under the age of 16 at Occlumency. This simple skill is probably as easy as eating and drinking for him. He probably has been in the dream he created besides making potions and performing Dumbledore's tasks. Stay and fly with Lily. It's understandable why the self-imprisoned Grindelwald lives so simply. With a young version of Dumbledore accompanying him, he also needs a bicycle. Enter the painting. There was once a house owner whose wife was jealous and wanted to destroy this painting. Unfortunately, due to the strong permanent sticking spell and unknown reasons, this only magic painting has remained until now. Occlumency is the most advanced and difficult of the Daydream spells. If Harry knew how to use this spell, he would have devoted himself to learning it and would not have been misled by Voldemort, causing Sirius to leave the world. This spell can even affect the effectiveness of Truth Serum and create false memories in the mind. Part of the special effects of Ryan's thinking skills is actually an enhanced version of Occlumency. As long as you are a wizard with advanced spells, you will usually be involved in this spell. The most difficult thing about this spell is to control yourself. If Harry, who is 11 years old and has not yet entered the wizarding world, learns it, he will probably be able to get started soon. Was unstable, to learn to be cruel to himself, to control unnecessary emotions, and to be under oppression. Draco Malfoy is very talented in this area. He is very good at locking his own sympathy, so as to effectively bully others under the pressure of assassinating Dumbledore and Bella's cruel teachings. Draco was able to withstand Snape's legitimacy and perfectly seal his heart. However, I have almost collapsed many times. He was alone in Myrtle. I cried secretly in the bathroom. He is another talented little wizard. There are many little wizards in the original book. If you push him hard, study hard, and carry out combat training, he should become a great wizard. If they were united again, what would Voldemort mean? The reason why Voldemort was able to dominate the wizarding world was due to his horrific behavior and the distrust among wizards. Education at Hogwarts should have been reformed long ago, and the Ministry of Magic should not maintain so-called stability at the expense of weakening wizards. It was only after Ryan actually traveled through time that he understood why Fudge, a mediocre wizard with no skills or abilities, could become the Minister of Magic. Because his magic skills are not strong and he has no prestige, Fudge's only strengths are that he is good at whitewashing peace and is good at listening to Dumbledore's opinions. During the campaign, he hinted many times that Dumbledore was behind him. The sudden peace made wizards need a minister who was good at whitewashing peace, instead of a minister who kept emphasizing that Voldemort was not dead yet and should be vigilant. Fudge's Ministry of Magic hopes that all young wizards will only understand theory, and the rest will come from the Ministry of Magic. Although the Ministry of Magic, under the leadership of Fudge, does not everyone do personnel matters, it only controls public opinion. This is why Fudge is so determined on the issue of Voldemort's return. Whitewashing peace is Fudge's foundation. Dumbledore's preparations for war are only for peaceful evolution and seizing power. Even if Voldemort is really resurrected, as a pureblood, he is not afraid that Voldemort will pursue him later. Voldemort's comeback in the original book is proof that Hogwarts does not need to teach too much about advanced magic, but Aurors, a combination of the wizard army and the police, should also have a learning form for further education. The existence of universities is very necessary. After wizards graduate at the age of 17, most of them become social animals. The outstanding talents in the past are only similar to certificates, and most of the others are of no use. The 7 years at Hogwarts should train the little wizard into a wizard who can survive comfortably outside the wizarding society. The rest should be further cultivated by the university. The retired wizard will be more pure and will not be influenced by some economic games about 17, and never study magic again, just dream. Thanks to classmates 2017131135902818 and 202001120021414117 for their rewards. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.